When I tell you these 2 weeks go by faster and faster and faster, y'all, it's been 2 weeks already. Welcome back to another episode with your best friend duo. I am Yaskis, also known as Unique Love, here with my beautiful, blessed, loud,
Hey!
best friend from the West Coast, which she
Come
calls
on.
the best coast, the alumni from Clarkland University. Do you like
Introduce
that?
me like a guest. Yes, Monie, aka Simone Loud, the other half of LoveLoudd LLC.
With the bucket hat.
Period. With the
With the
bucket
bucket
hat.
hat.
With the bucket hat. It's getting hot outside, y'all. Get y'all one on the website. A little LoveLoudd bucket hat to protect that melanin from the sun. Okay?
Just make sure that your wig and your weaves are not too thick when you wear the bucket hat. You don't want it to be too tight on your
You
head.
won't do that. Yes. Yes. Come on with the intro.
Yes, welcome back, y'all. And
Period.
if this is your first time listening, welcome. Thank you for tuning in.
Welcome.
Welcome. Yes, I feel good today. I think I look beautiful.
You do
I
look
like my
beautiful.
makeup.
You always look beautiful.
Sometimes I be looking crazy on this podcast. I be looking back like, oh my God. But I'm glad that my voice sounds better, you know.
That part. Oh my goodness. Shoot,
Pollen is not as irritating.
hey,
I'm not as nasally, so I'm just happy. You know, I'm excited that the weather
absolutely.
is nice now. But yeah, so we're kicking into our check-in right now. I've been feeling good, you know, going out in the park, not at dark, but in the daytime.
I hope not that dark, girl. It's a little bit dangerous. You need
It's
to be
really
safe.
dangerous. I need to be safe. I said safety. But yeah, just happy. The weather is really nice. Travels, planning some travels. I need to get out of this country this
Yes.
year.
Take me
At
with
first I
you.
said that would be nice. That would be nice. Um, I thought it was just going to be a domestic year for me, but I think I need to go international just one good time. So you
You
already know where I want to
should.
go. I
You
don't
can
want to
find some
say
good
it.
flights, girl. I told you that flight I found. Wink,
I,
wink.
I
Did you look
know
into it?
I did not. I didn't. But I kind of want it to be a solo trip, but I kind of not want it to be a solo trip. We'll talk about that off the podcast.
Girl, if you're gonna go solo, go. Ain't nothing wrong with a little solo
Go
trip.
solo. I never did a solo trip. Like I've flown by myself before, but I've always flown to meet people somewhere. Like at the destination, I'm always there with somebody. So I've never done anything before. So this destination, I feel like is the perfect destination to go by myself. Or even if it's with you or if it's with someone else, like it doesn't have to be a big group thing. I wouldn't want it to be a big group thing.
Right.
Like me and my cousin Brittany, we were planning to go to this place. So Brittany, if you're listening, you know where I'm talking about. And I said, okay, so for our trip, do you want this to be a turn up or a turn down? She was like, I want it to be a turn up. I was like, all right, we can't go here. Like this is this is not that place for that. But I gotta look into that. Maybe tomorrow.
Sometime soon, because girl,
Yeah,
the end of the year gonna be here before we know it. You
my
know, the time
birthday's
been
gonna be here.
flying, literally flying
And
by.
I need to be flying on somebody's plane to a destination.
So yes, well, whatever you decide, honey, because cross that ish off your bucket list. Solo travel out the country, do it. People do it all the time. Plus, it's different groups that you can link up with that you can find online.
That's
There's
true.
definitely different ways that you could travel solo and still be safe. So long as you fly out and show your location, so I
We
keep
good.
track of where you at. All right, she good. She's. I hope.
Like that little
FaceTime
boy,
me.
that little boy on the reel that be watching his bestie traveling. Like, okay, watch my bestie go to her booty call or whatever it is. Like, watch my bestie travel to this destination by herself.
Right. So you'll definitely be watched. Not even by me, not just by me. You be watched by several. So if you
Yeah,
plan to
true.
do it, just go ahead and do it.
All right. But how are you doing today?
I am great. For the first time since I moved to New York, I went on a hike in New York. It was nice to get out of the city, the
Yeah, because your first
busy,
one was in
bustly.
Jersey.
Right. So this was nice, and I haven't gone in a while. It's been like 2 years since we went on that hike. So it was nice to be out in nature. Listening to those birds chirping, seeing the trees, seeing the nice
Tweet,
view,
tweet,
listening
tweet, tweet.
listening to the water. I love, love, love a good hike. Not something I can do often because, child, my knees, they don't work like they used to. Like, for me, hiking up isn't the hard part, it's hiking down. Like, just being more mindful of where I'm stepping, the decline is super,
Mm.
super difficult, especially being mindful of rocks that's not solid. I slipped a few times going
Ooh.
down. It's a little more steep. So, but it doesn't take away from the fact that I really did have a great time. It was so, so, so much fun. I went with a group of people from work, so that was nice too, to get out of the element of work and hang out with people that you might not usually hang out with in the outside setting, because most people just go to work and that just be it. You see people at work, but it's nice to see people outside of work when given the opportunity and see them in a different setting, especially when you're all enjoying something or experiencing something new. So that was really, really nice. Really nice for me to experience. But yes, it definitely goes into what I've been trying to do more of, feeding into my mental needs more. So that was really nice for me. And not only my mental, my physical, because that was the calories I burned yesterday. I'm still
Baby.
I'm still debating if I'm gonna go to the gym and do arm day, because I said, as far as my legs and my thighs and these glutes, they good from yesterday. I don't know if I'm gonna get in any squats, but I was like, this gonna be an upper body day, so we're gonna see if I make it to the gym today. But other than that, it's been really nice to just see the weather changing and to be outside, and definitely want to do more things um out in nature and be able to explore New York more. I have yet to
Yeah.
go, explore outside of the city a lot. So I'm hoping to use this summer to be able to do more of that, a little bit more of like road trip type things, or even like catching the train, to get more of a scenic view for doing some travel, because I don't have a car anyway, and I don't mind
Hmm.
getting on the train. So that's the type of solo travel that I'll be trying to get into, just going to like some smaller cities, keeping it domestic, catching the train, and just being more in tune with what more of what the state has to offer, other than just being right here in the city.
Yeah.
So definitely want to do more of that. It was nice. It was really, really beautiful.
Yeah. That sounds dope. In your pictures, I can tell that you were having a good old natural time. The scenery was really nice too. Like
Hmm.
it's crazy. It's quote unquote just water, just trees, just grass, just water. I think I said water already. But it's just seeing the picture made me feel a little bit relaxed too and happy for you. So that was really nice. And I feel the same way too. Like you said, there are all these things that's out there for us to enjoy. And there are so many natural parks in Jersey, natural waterfalls, like all of it. I just need to take the time, because it's not like I don't have the time. Like when I'm watching TV or doing something, whatever, just chilling, I could be at a park exploring. So, and what you saying, that was 2 years ago. I'm like, dang, I actually do need to and want to get back out there and do it, because I enjoyed it when I was a child. We used to go hiking all the time. We used to hike on each other in school, but we used to go hiking in nature all the time. And I miss that, like that, just that element of escaping the city, escaping the rush. Like New York and New Jersey are fast-paced places, so to actually leave, it feels to me like a trip in itself. Like I don't feel like I'm in Jersey anymore. What's that, girl? I don't feel like I'm in whatever. Anyway, I can't even finish my joke.
Like, oh, I was gonna try to help you.
It's like a show. She said, "Are we in Kansas anymore? Like, are we
I
in
knew you was
Jersey?"
gonna say that. That's the Wizard of Oz. That's a
Thank you.
movie.
Yeah, are we in Jersey anymore? And then you peep out and like, oh, they go to the street right there. I'm about to go back into the woods. But yeah, I'm happy that you were able to enjoy that, not just with yourself, but a bonding moment with your coworkers as well. So whoever put that event together, shout out to them. I wish I could do that with my
Absolutely.
coworkers, but my coworkers, a lot of them are older, but the ones my
Mm.
age, I think they're just stuck in that where I work. I ain't gonna say where I work, but they don't like to. They don't travel off bridges. Like they don't
Mm.
leave their borough and go to a different borough. So and a lot of it is in Jersey or like, upper New York or wherever the case may be. You gotta leave the neighborhood.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and one other thing, because I'm really, really proud of myself for this, which is also
Yeah.
making me really happy. I'm on my 4th book of the year. Granted, I wanted to be on my 5th by now because I want to do 1 book a month, but hey, I'm reading, and that's what's important. I'm actually flying through this book, so I'll be starting my
Okay.
5th book really soon. But me reading has taken me back and reminded me like why I loved reading to begin with when I really started getting into novels. So I'm like, I love this feeling. For at first, it was really hard for me to find the time, and I say quote unquote because with your scheduling, you get busy and you tired and you start putting some things off until you get back into a rhythm of it. That's where I'm at right now. I'm back into a rhythm. It's like when I find the time, I got an extra 5 minutes before I gotta leave the house. All right, let me crack this book up real quick. All right, let me on the bus ride home or the train ride, during my lunch break, I'm starting to read with any opportunity that I get. I think I'm reading now more than I actually do Duolingo. But I still hit my Duolingo every day. But now I'm reading more and I really, really, really enjoy it. And it's helping me to get inspired again, to do my own writing and get back into storytelling. So that I had to mention because that's also bringing me
Yeah.
a lot of joy.
Yeah. I don't know what number I'm on. I do know that I tried to finish that Sister Soldier's last book and I cannot finish it.
Me neither.
But
I hope to
um
one day, but it's hard. It's a
yeah,
hard
I paid for that.
read.
Yeah, but I think I'm not as far as you. I'm either on 2 or 3, but I love when you talk about it because it reminds me, oh, I'm in the middle of a book or I'm in the beginning of a book that I actually like. So, I like to pull away from TV sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Unplug. Literally, I do unplug my TV because I ain't running that energy if I ain't use it. My mom laughed at me when she saw me unplug. But anywho, that's a different story. I like when you bring it up because it reminds me, oh yeah, I did have that goal of finishing a book. So thank you for that reminder because I will be reading that before I go over to hang out with Now No and my mom today.
All right. Yes.
Yes.
Reading.
Is essential?
Yes. Also, for y'all that are listening, please let me know what y'all are reading or currently reading or any book that you recommend because I'm trying to add to my inventory, my library of reading. I'm literally trying to build out a library one day. I have a large collection of books.
That's why I made the face that I just made. Like,
Most of them
yeah.
I've read those. I think one of the books that I started with this year was a second read. So I read my books. I definitely read my books. So if y'all have anything to recommend, please recommend it to me. My next thing that I'm trying to get into is thriller books. I don't own any thriller books, but
Okay, Michael Jackson.
I I love thriller and suspense when I'm watching it. So I'm pretty sure that there are some books that I should be reading that are really, really dope. So thriller and suspense or any other books that y'all want to recommend, please let me know.
And with that, we're done with our check-in, so we could
Mm-hmm.
go on, but you know what I mean, to our next segment and break this ice.
No, we not. Cause first I gotta get the people to run down. You just trying to run through the show. Like you
See,
can't run through it without
that's why
breaking
that's
it
not my
down.
role. Yeah, that's not my role. I should have just let you do your thing. Let me be quiet and drink this water that somebody gave me for free.
All right, so before we head on over into the icebreaker, let me go ahead and break down on this rundown what we got for you in this here episode. So first, we let loose in the icebreaker by going into an impact deck and reading an affirmation card and seeing what we relate to, how it is impacting us today. Then heading on over into Suite 223, we have a poetic guest by the name of Keys Will, a wonderful poet that y'all are going to enjoy. Y'all know we have poets that are fire come on to the show, so make sure you are tuned in because she's never been on the show, and y'all are going to really, really enjoy what she has to give. Then, in the hot topic segment today, we are discussing boundaries. What are they? Are they good? Are they bad? How do we relate to them? What are different types of boundaries? And the episode, I mean, not the episode, but the segment is going to be so intense. We're going to dive in so deep that the conversation is going to take us past dorm stories. We're not even giving y'all the dorm story segment today because it's just a combination of our own stories of boundaries and what boundaries actually are. So because the conversation is going to be so deep, we don't need a dorm story segment. So after discussing boundaries, we are going to be heading on over into the announcement segment. For those of y'all that know, there is something for everybody. So make sure y'all are tuned in all the way to the end so y'all do not miss out on information that we have for you. Bow. And that is the rundown, my people. Mm-hmm.
And now we're going to go break some ice.
Yes, now we can break the ice. Let go.
It's time to break the ice on the mic. We are now in our icebreaker segment.
I love that you are holding on to that little theme you got going. Okay. Blues Clues.
I know. I didn't do that on purpose, but hearing myself, I'm like, it sounds like some cartoon I used to watch when I was younger. And as soon as you said Blues Clues, I remember it's Blues Clues. I ain't trying to get sued, but that's what I got for now. It's time to break the ice on the mic.
That's what it is giving, like, or like some type of Nick Jr. Disney Playhouse something. That's what it's giving.
Icebreaker is just for me. Like they say, Nick Jr. just for me. So for our icebreaker, Monie and I are going to be pulling affirmation cards from the impact deck. I don't have the deck, so we're going to try one card. Monie has a deck, and then see how that goes. Maybe we'll pull two, but let's see.
All right, so for those of you that are not familiar, the impact deck is basically a set of reflection cards for exploring your thoughts and feelings. It has action cards that challenge you to get things done, and 10 affirmation cards that cultivate a positive mindset so your best self can thrive. It's made by the Best Self Company. But we're going to pull from the affirmations that are in the deck. So let me shuffle them up real quick. I'm going to pull from, should I pull from the top, bottom, or middle? What should I do?
Middle.
From the middle. All right, so.
Pull that card. Pull
from
that card.
Middle, since I'm here alone. All right, so it says,
wow.
My actions are intentional and they bring me closer to my goals.
You connect to that, huh?
I do, and you know I do. But let me say it one more time, because there's always somebody in the back that ain't paying attention.
It be people in the front too.
That's true, because I'm a teacher, and I don't think you heard what I said. I'm quick to call on somebody and ask them to repeat what I said, knowing they wasn't paying attention.
And therapy too, when I be meeting with the clients and their kids, and I say, okay, what did your mom just say? Say it in your own words. I don't know. You gotta listen. We just talked about communication. Right. You're not even listening.
Okay, we need to be listening, paying attention, so we can give our feedback and our opinions.
Yes.
All right. So, but the reason why I'm smiling so hard at this card is because
y'all, hard.
For those of you that are watching, Crest commercial. Is because I've literally been very intentional, I think specifically for this year. I want to say over the last year, but definitely 2024, about making sure that I am bringing myself closer to the goals that I want to reach. I've been very, like the card says, intentional about creating a plan and following through with the things that I want to do. And I finally feel like I'm in a place where, yes, I've always been where I'm meant to be, but I feel like I literally now embody in being where I'm supposed to be and not feeling as if I should be somewhere else.
Oh, I love that.
Not feeling as if like I'm here, it's a temporary situation. Like I finally feel like I'm in a place where I'm not only doing what I'm meant to be doing and making the impact that is meant for me to make, but I'm also in a place where I feel more creative, and I'm in a place where I feel more determined and motivated just to continue pressing forward and do a multitude of things that I want to do. So it used to be that I always have all these things in my mind that I want to do, but I felt like I didn't have the time or even just the energy to do it. But instead of having that mindset, it's just a matter of like better managing my time and figuring out how I'm going to get things done, because at the end of the day, life going to keep life, and things just going to keep coming up that's going to try to bring me down. But at the end of the day, I'm the one that has majority control over how I really want to see the outcome of my life. So regardless of whatever is like trying to be a burden, whatever bills are trying to come my way out of nowhere.
Listen,
Yo,
listen.
I'm still pressing forward and just bringing new energy into my life and manifestation of things that I want to bring into fruition. I'm not going to talk about certain things just yet, but just know that baby girl right here is on her way to greatness. She's always been on her way to greatness, but you know, she's like the ladder. She's still climbing up the ladder. She's getting so much closer, you know, and I'm very proud of myself. Very, very proud of myself.
My light died. I'm sorry. But yeah, that was I love how you smiled with that card. And just give me 1 second because my light being off is killing me. Sorry. I always got
Fix
my
the light,
boobs in the
girl.
camera.
Light bright. We need to see you. So we understand.
I thought my light was plugged up, but it wasn't. So here I am. Light back on. Yeah, I love the way that you smiled, but that's one thing that I love about affirmation cards. It just seems like anytime, so I pull, you pull, my coworker, and some other people that I know, and it just seems like it's always fitting. So I'm kind of nervous for when you pull a card for me because I'm not pulling. Like, is it gonna fit or is it not gonna fit for me? Maybe we'll just focus on Moni.
See.
Yeah, let's try.
All right. Let me shuffle it back up. I love this deck too because it's a deck that I use when I really want to journal and really get some thoughts out,
Hmm.
whether it's the affirmation, reflection, or like a task card. It gives you an action to do. But all right, so I shuffled them up. Should I pull? You want me to pull from the middle, bottom, or top?
Bottom.
From the bottom.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
Yeah.
I'm nervous.
My actions are intentional and they bring me closer to my goals. It's the same card. It is the exact same card, yeah.
Maybe that was
And
meant to
you saw,
be.
right, I shuffled it up. I said from the top, bottom, of the middle, and you said the bottom. It's the exact same card, yeah. The exact same card.
All right, one more time for me. Read
You
it
want me
one
to
more
do it
time.
again?
Yeah, act like
Okay.
it's a new card.
All right, we're going
My
to shuffle it
actions are
again.
intentional. No,
And
no.
bringing me closer to my goals. That's what it says. But you want me to mix it up again. So
I'm gonna pull
I'm
again.
really, y'all, I'm really shuffling it up. Like, granted, it may only been 10 of them, but she had 9 other choices that she could choose from. So
You gonna pull the same card again?
I'm not looking though. So I feel like, all right, top, middle, or bottom.
I feel like I could speak on that card, but pull from the bottom again, one more
All
time.
right. Yeah. My actions are intentional and they bring me closer to my goals.
Bruh, read it from the top. Don't touch no other cut. Just for the
Just
purpose
for the
of
sake,
entertainment.
because all 10 cards are the same. Okay, I'll read from the
Yeah,
top
just
card
make
then.
sure. Yeah.
I have the power to create change. So, let me
All
read one
right.
more other card just to prove my presence is my power. So, for 3 times in a row,
That's God.
my actions are intentional and they bring me closer to my goals. Don't play with
That's
the
God.
affirmations.
Listen, that's God saying, girl, I told you 3 times. 3 times is the charm. You
Girl,
listen.
I pulled from the middle, the bottom.
And the
Any
in the bottom again. All right, so my actions are intentional and my something brings me joy.
bring me closer to my goals. Stop trying to
Yeah.
act like you ain't been doing nothing to be intentional about what you want to do, y'all. Stop trying to play
No,
yourself.
no,
That's
no,
why the
no.
card
Okay.
kept coming back. Stop trying to not speak on something that you know relates to you. Quit playing with yourself. Come
So
on.
what had happened was I've been working at my agency for about 5 years, and I've just been a person that I'm like, okay, I'm okay being in this position, being a therapist. I'm fine. I'm comfortable. I love it. I like the connections. Being a supervisor, being a director, being like, growing in the company, it just seems like too much. Like, that's not for me. And people will come to me and say, you should be this, you should be the facilitator, you should be a therapist, I mean, not therapist, you should be a supervisor, you'll be great at this, you'll be great at that. And I'm like, no, no, no. And I never really paid attention that I was doing a supervisor's role the whole time when I was a facilitator. I didn't realize that obviously I know about clients because I was a therapist, but every time there was a new worker, was there a case planner or therapist coming, I was always taking it upon myself to help them, to show them how to write a proper note, to show them the templates, to show them, give them support with clients anytime they had a hard time. Like, it's so many things that we do, surveys, questionnaires, intake, all that stuff, showing them the ropes pretty much. And it took for me to see somebody else growing. And I'm like, you got here after me. Like, what are we doing here? I said to myself, what are we doing here? Like, I've had it so many times. Directors, supervisors, co-workers, everybody like saying, such and such leaving, you should try to take that spot or whatever. And basically with the card is saying to me, like, I've been putting in the work the whole time. Um, and with other things too, saving for a home, uh, just doing different things, whatever. But it's all upon me. If am I gonna be an artist that is known, or am I gonna keep my poetry and my artwork to myself? Am I gonna grow in my business? Or am I gonna be complacent with the position and the salary that I have? Am I going to learn how to skate, or just be okay knowing how to get around that rink? Like, am I gonna grow? People can see all the potential that they want for me, but it's for me to put in that work. It's for me to go for it and not just hear what people are saying, but believe it for myself. So this year, I've been telling myself since the end of last year that this year is the year that I want to hear continuously. Not with a baby though, but I want to hear people tell me, congratulations. Congratulations on that promotion. Congratulations on getting a raise. Congratulations on getting your permit for licensure. Congratulations on your new home. Congratulations on your new man. Yeah, I might get a new man this year.
Hey, come on now, manifest that ish. Okay.
Yes, congratulations. That's all I want to hear this year. And I know it's not going to be a straight up journey. Journeys comes with ebbs and flows, but I'm not getting I'm not going to shut myself down. I'm not going to tell myself no, because we talked about yeses and nos with Shay last Sade, not Sade. Dang, we got so many Shays. Shania last episode. So I'm not going to let my own self tell me no, because then if I'm telling myself no, then why can't anybody else? But forget everybody else's no's. I need to take my no's and turn them into yeses so that I could progress and get more congratulations moving forward. The end.
Yes, absolutely. Come on, congratulations. Period.
Thank you, baby.
I'm gonna be saying congratulations every week. Every time we talk. Instead of saying goodbye, I'm gonna say congratulations. Instead of saying talk to you later, I'm like, congratulations.
Oh yeah.
Not saying goodbye, I'm gonna talk to you later. Congratulations. Talk to you later. Congratulations. See you soon. Congratulations. That's how conversation ends right now. Congratulations.
Mind y'all, I talk with Monie about everything. I'm gonna be like, oh my God, I'm so sad about this. All right, I gotta go. Congratulations.
I'll talk to you later, girl. Congratulations. You laugh, but I'm serious. You need to remember. You like congratulations needs to be always on your mind. So congratulations. Girl, I know what I'm gonna do. That's all right, girl. It's gonna be okay. Congratulations.
But that does work because it flips your mind. You're thinking like, oh, this person hurt my feelings. Oh, I stubbed my toe. At the end of the day, you're gonna be okay.
Right. Congratulations.
Love it.
Yo, I love this icebreaker because that card kept coming for you.
It did.
And I'm like, why is she not talking on this card when she know that this card relates to her? Like, why are you trying to get something else? I'm telling you, and I told you before we even started recording, the universe been aligned with so many things as of late. It's just like, all right, I'm listening. I'm listening. Let me go ahead and do what I need to do. I'm listening.
Yeah. Okay, ma'am. The funny thing though is when I said, okay, let's do it again, I meant doing the card again, but I was like, no, I'm just gonna go with what Monie says. And I said it's gonna be funny if you pull it again. And lo and behold, can't play. And it goes into what I said. Every time a card is pulled, it seems like it's meant to be. That's crazy. Y'all, we did not set this up. I promise. This is
did not.
It's funny.
And y'all saw me do it. I shuffled it on camera.
Yeah, she did.
All right.
Watch on Spotify and YouTube if you want to watch.
Exactly. All right. So since we are done with the icebreaker, we are now going to head on over into Suite 2, 2, 3.
Okay, y'all. So we're now in our Suite 223 segment. If this is your first time listening to our podcast, this is our poetry segment, and we have a special guest with us today. So you're going to hear a poem by Keys. Whenever you're ready, take it away.
Thank you. So this piece I'm going to do happens to be one of my favorite poems. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Rudy Francisco. So he's a really, really dope poet. Definitely check him out. So he does this poem that's called My Honest Poem. and I did my own version of it. But because I'm from New York, I call it my Deadass poem. So here we go. I was born on December 6th, which means I'm a Sag, which means I'm a fire sign now. Here we go. I know some of you probably kissed your teeth and rolled your eyes, but really, that hate is just love in disguise. Because one thing about us is we tell no lies. Y'all come to us for the hard truth. No coats of sugar for your sweet tooth, although it may burn like Devil Springs, 160 proof. You keep coming back because you know I got the juice. Speaking of juice, I prefer alkaline water. And if you don't know the difference, you don't drink enough water. Like knowing when it's bottled from when it's tapped. Like feelings when they're bottled from when they're trapped. I dance around emotions like I'm practicing tap. Some days I don't know how to feel. My mind is on the front lines of a battlefield. My body is programmed to autopilot. My heart skips beats like it's on a diet. They say that Jesus was a carpenter. And since I'm his only begotten daughter, I learned how to build walls around my heart higher than the Mexican border. I'm just trying to protect it from being slaughtered. I know that no way out means no way in. It's a dead end, and I dead ass it needs to dead end, but I cut off all connections like dead ends. My hair taught me how to commit. Like when things get hard, it doesn't mean you should split. Conditioning is deep. You gotta let it sit. You only grow from the effort you put into it. Like love. I honestly think my soulmate got lost in the solar system. Like when Jeff Bezos was giving trips back to Earth, she must have missed him. They say love is patient. So wait for the right one to come along. But yo, on some real shit, sis, you dead taking mad long. Like at least let me know if you on the way. Send me the Addy so I can meet you halfway. Ain't that the route relationships go anyway? My biggest fear is losing my memory. I used to think about it real heavily. And it's not that I'm afraid to forget my friends and my fam. I fear that no one knows me well enough to remind me of who I am. Who I am is someone who doesn't like avocados. I don't know how y'all eat that shit. The first time I tried, I thought I was allergic. Like I actually threw up the first time I ate it. And from that day on, I decided to hate it. It's the texture. I don't like food I can't actually chew. Now, grits are the only exception to the rule in which you only add salt, butter, and a little bit of cheese. Sugar does not belong on grits. Don't you dare argue with me. Period. In the end, I just want to say that I lived. That I shared all of me until there was nothing left to give. I want to leave footprints in the sand, on the moon, and the walk of fame. I want to make $1 out of every quarter in this game. I want to touch hearts without using my hands and prove that my name is more than just a store brand. So when I reach those pearly gates, before God lets me pass, he'll say, "Thou hath made me proud, my child." Deadass poem.
That was so good. Oh my God. That was
Thank
wow.
you.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
I had feedback. that, that
Much to unpack. I'm so mad I can't talk right.
Y'all, my co-host, my best friend is under the weather, but we're gonna
It's
get
so
through this
good.
with her cute jacket or whatever.
I'm gonna
That
Right.
was a
try.
bar. You heard that? That rhymed.
Hey, I'm gonna try. Y'all gonna strain your ears trying to hear this voice, but I'm gonna have to say what I need to say about this fine ass piece. She literally took my voice. Okay, that's what happened. That's what happens.
That's the
Okay,
story, and that's how we gonna tell it.
that's what I'm gonna tell it.
Yep. Oh, can I start?
Mhm.
I felt like I was listening to you just talk. Like it just felt like you were just having a smooth conversation with us about how you feel, the things that were going through your mind. Everybody who's listened to this podcast before, who heard me at poetry events, I love wordplay, so I'm laughing because I love, how you twisted and played with the words that you shared, especially like the part with the leave-in conditioning and all that stuff, like wearing your hair. That was like the split ends. I was like, oh, like chapter screw that part. Like it was really, really great. And then you infused yourself. You told us a bit about who you are. We got to know that you don't like avocados, that sugar don't go on grits, that
Yep.
Bay must have got lost in the solar system because where you at? You taking up my time. It was. I'm just like, I want to hear more. That was a really, really clever, greatly written piece. I loved it. I'm not
Thank
going to
you.
talk anymore because Monie, I don't want to. I'm all smiles right now. That was really good. Shout out to you.
Thank thank you. Thank
First of all, Deadass fire. Like you took us on a journey like of who you are as a person on so many different levels, looking for the love of your life, but also giving yourself grace on who you are and your growth, what you like, what you don't like, what you enjoy. Just taking us on that ride and that journey. But like Yaya said, it made it so conversational and fun
Hmm.
and rhythmic. You took us on a ride. It was like, yes,
All
like
right.
right, like swag surfing on the words. It was like, yes. I was like, okay, Sag, we know
Okay.
birthday now. It's like cool. Like it was I love the cadence of it. But I think more so just your style of it in general.
Yeah.
It was very swagalicious. For the swagalicious on it,
It was
Like
sagalicious.
there we go,
I like that. I like
sagalicious. The way you
that.
put the way you flowed in and out of it, where you decided to pause, gave us a little laugh. It was real nice. It was dope. Dead ass.
Thank you. Thank y'all. I appreciate that. For real. For real. And I appreciate y'all. If I was watching y'all as I was performing it, I had y'all eyes closed and was like really immersing yourselves and taking it in. So I appreciate that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I only close my eyes when I'm a visionary person, so I like to envision and see the story that people are telling. So I'm just throwing myself into the poetry, and it helps me to actually listen and take it all in. And I'm glad I did that because, yeah, I'm ready to listen to it back already because I'm like, it was some good like punchlines in there, things that you did with the wordplay. I'm gonna keep saying wordplay because I love playing with words.
Like,
But so you said that you were influenced by a poet. But how did you like decide that you were gonna write this way? Like I've not heard this before. Like somebody actually describing themselves and playing with the poem in this manner. Of course, I've heard love poems. Of course, I've heard like, but it literally felt like a freaking. I was about to say it felt it legit felt it dead ass felt like a conversation. Like I'm hearing my friend talk about, themselves, just like the randomness of their day or whatever. So what's the inspiration aside from this poet that you enjoy their poetry? What inspired this piece?
So most of the pieces I've been performing for almost 8 years now, and typically my go-to pieces are like social justice pieces or like kind of taking current events and making a piece out of it, and that's all fine and dandy. But I got to a point where I was just like, I don't think anyone really knows anything about me. Like I don't really
Mm,
talk about myself in my work. I'm always like talking about everything outside of me. So I had seen him do the poem and I was just like, oh, I could do something like that. So it was more so just reintroducing myself to my audience, because like I said, I've been doing this for almost 8 years now. So it was just like, let me switch it up and talk a little bit more about myself. My intentions with the new pieces that I'm writing are to be more personal, and to be more, and not that I feel like I haven't been authentic, but just really just sharing more of myself. So that was actually the first piece that I did that I felt like it was more me. You know what I'm saying? That's why you said it feels like a conversation, because it was like I'm literally telling you about myself. Like it's very me. So yeah.
while Moni gets herself together. So you said you've been performing for 8 years or a year?
No,
Eight.
eight. Yeah,
Oh,
the
that's
number
my
eight.
favorite
Oh,
number. Shout
girl.
out. Okay. So I'm assuming you didn't start writing 8 years ago. When did you start writing? And How would you describe your poetry? I know you said typically you touch on political things or current events, things that's going on, basically
Mhm.
like a messenger, right? But
Right.
how did you discover poetry? How did you start writing?
Yeah. So I've been writing for over 20 years now. I started writing, I was about 9 or 10. And it literally just came to me. Like, I didn't know what poetry was prior to that. I can remember the day exactly. It was raining outside, and I had a notebook next to me, and I just picked it up and just wrote about the rain. Like
Oh,
that. Like that was my first. I was just like, yeah, the way the rain runs down the window. Like, I just, I did something with it, and then from there I was like, okay, I actually like this. And what really kept me writing was, and I share this story often, is that I don't know if you guys have probably had a similar experience where either your teachers or parents tell you like you talk too much, right? You're chatty, you're always talking too much, right? And that can be disheartening because it's like, as a kid, right? How else am I supposed to express myself? I don't know what else to do besides talk to you. Um, so after hearing that and internalizing it, I just started writing. I was like, well, you can't tell me I write too much. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna say what I need to say. I'm gonna say what I gotta say, right? So yeah, that was my outlet for a while. And then I think I might have been a little bit older, maybe around like 11, 12-ish, when I used to watch Def Poetry Jam on HBO. I mean, when I tell you I would binge watch every single episode. And it was so amazing to me because I never knew poetry was actually like a thing. You know what I'm saying? And then when I seen like spoken word, I was like, oh, like, wait, people do this? Like, they like people actually will listen to you go on stage and read a poem? Like, that's crazy. So it wasn't until I got older or old enough where what actually got me on the stage was my book. I had published a book and I was like, well, how am I going to promote this book? Somebody, people need to know that I got this book. And I think it might have been before Instagram was like really popping for real. Um, so I was like, all right, I need to promote this book. So I was like Googling open mics in New York City, and I went to one and I just sat in the audience just to see, get a feel of the vibe. And then I was looking at everybody that went on the stage and I was like, I can do that. like, are you serious? And literally the next week I signed up, went on, and the rest is history. Like, I
Yes.
love the stage. I love performing. I love, like you said, wordplay. Like, I just really enjoy it. So, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I love how you took the step forward to be like, in order for me to get it out there, I have to get out there and share my art.
Yeah.
Like, I love this transition of like being nervous, not knowing what to do, but then just taking that leap of faith and just getting back or getting onto the stage or back onto the stage, whoever the artist may be.
Yeah.
And just finding that joy, finding your place, in that light on that stage. When that spotlight is on you, when you're letting them words flow, you just letting
Yeah.
it go. Like, just finding your rhythm and finding your people and finding the people that resonates with what you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, what a feeling. What a
Yes.
feeling.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you mentioned the book, honey. Let's talk about
I
the
was
book.
wondering.
Talk about the book, the name. Where can we find it? Come on.
So she happens to be sitting right here.
Okay.
So this is my book. It's a poetic memoir. It's called Chrysalis, Not Quite the Butterfly. And I titled
Mm.
it that because I felt like that was the phase that I was in when I was writing it. Like, I haven't quite, come out my cocoon yet, but I'm in there and developing and growing and, becoming this person. So it is available on Amazon. And just to give y'all a little bit of context, so this, I don't know if y'all can see it. So this is my government name.
I was
Right.
just wondering about your name. That was my next question. Like, what
So
is Keys?
right. So that's my government name, which I don't share often. But so that was the part in the poem where I said, and prove that my name is more than just a store brand. So my name is literally
I was
IKEA.
wondering that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I know people don't get that part because I don't share that. But once I tell you that, you're like, oh, now
Yeah.
it makes sense. So yeah, so Keys is my chosen name. I really don't use my government name unless it's for like legal purposes. But yeah, I cut cheese. Wow, Keys is the name that I chose for myself. It just I guess when you become a poet, you kind of choose your poet name. But for me, it was a nickname that someone had gave me prior to me doing spoken word, and then I just took that on, and it just, I don't know, I just wear it. It just feels like who I am now. So so yeah, so my poetic memoir is on Amazon. It is Yeah, it's 8 years old because that's how long I've been performing. So it's almost 8 years old. And I had did another podcast interview a few weeks ago, and this person was like, "I didn't even know you had a book. You need to tell more people that you have a book." Like, and I'm just like, I don't know. It's one of those things that I like did it and then kind of just was like, yeah, I got a book.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, you definitely got to share that with the world. That's not something that you just keep to yourself. 8 years old, 10 years old, 1 year old, 1 month, it don't matter. You created it and you wrote it and you put it out into the world because it wasn't meant to be kept with you. So
Yeah.
now that you've been, inspired to let people know that your book is out there, we're going to let the people know that your book is out there. So other people can let people know that your book is out there. You can get themselves up.
Right.
Yes.
Deadass.
Deadass. Deadass. Yes, thank y'all. Thank y'all. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So I would love a copy of your book. So I'm gonna order that, and then we'll
Oh,
also, yeah, of course, and then we'll also share the link in our bio so that people can, when I drive, I listen to podcasts and I can't always write things down. So if somebody's listening, they may be in the bathtub and their phone on the counter, so they can click that link and follow your book. So that if they want a copy, they can purchase a copy. But I do have a question regarding open mics. Do you perform regularly? Are you just based in New York, or do you share your poetry other places? Do you have any other outlets that people can hear your poetry? Because that was really good. I don't typically ask, like, how can I hear more poetry or whatever the case may be. So, yeah.
Yeah, so good question. So to answer your first one of the questions you asked about do I perform frequently? So I've been performing more frequently this year because I had, like I said, not to beat a dead horse, but I've been performing for 8 years, and after performing so often, for me, I can say like my pieces kind of get stale to me, and I'm just like, I want to talk about something different, right? So I kind of stopped at some point last year. I kind of gave it a rest because I was just like, I don't want to keep reiterating these same poems over and over again, right? I want to write some fresh material. I want to talk about something different, something more, I guess, not real, but like, I want to use the word authentic. So I'm just going to go with that, something more authentic. So this year, that's when I decided, I was like, all right, I'm gonna write a new piece because I want to get back on the stage. So Simone, the piece that you heard me do at the cafe open mic was actually the first poem that I wrote at the top of this year, and that's what got me back on the stage. So that's actually a newer piece than, it's 2024 new, but it's not, at this point it's like, it's not new shit no more. You know what I'm saying? But it's, it's one of the pieces that kind of got me into like, all right, let me try something different, and I had fun with it. So yeah, I'm in the midst of writing a few more pieces now. I'm actually performing tomorrow in Brooklyn, and then performing again Saturday in Brooklyn as well. So I'm working on a new piece for Saturday. I actually have to get it memorized for Saturday. And then you asked, where else can people hear me? I mean, most of my work is on Instagram.
Okay.
I've just gotten back to posting on TikTok. And in terms of traveling, that actually is on my agenda for this year, especially this summer. There are a few places that have invited me out. Some I can drive to, some I'll have to fly to. So yeah,
Nice.
I do plan on expanding and like, really, really branching out. Because being in New York and doing it, it's like, it gets kind of redundant. You know what I'm saying? You're running into the same people after a
Right.
while. It's like, all right, somebody else needs to hear these pieces. So yeah, definitely
Yes,
heavy
absolutely.
on the traveling this year.
Yeah. So you also mentioned that you have, a piece that you're trying to memorize by the weekend. So as far as like your process when it comes to memorizing a piece, how you go about that? Repetition, listening to yourself, what you do?
Yeah, so I'll give that tip away because I've told several people before. So what I do is I'll write the piece, obviously, right? I write it, figure it out, and then I'll reread it because sometimes it's words I might want to like take out, put in. And then I'll read it to myself in the cadence that I would want it to be delivered, right? Because there's certain places where I might want to pause, or I might want to emphasize this part, or I might want to, so I'll read it to myself a few times. Then once I'm comfortable with it, I'll actually do a voice recording, and then I'll just replay it over and over and over again and recite it as I'm listening to it, literally like hundreds of times until like I'll actually stop listening to it at one point to see if I got it without the recording. And then once I got it, I'm like, okay, cool. And then I'll do it a few times, and by then I'll have it down packed. So
Yeah.
about 48 hours to get it together.
I love everybody's different methods of how they remember their pieces in their head, whether it's off the dome, writing it down. For me, I used to write it over and over and over and over again. For me, my repetition used to be in my hand.
Oh,
I just have to, even when I used to learn like lines for plays, like I would write the lines out to help me remember. Yeah.
She's a writer.
Yeah, that's girl. Your wrist. How your wrist doing?
You look like you cooking.
It's the flick of the wrist.
Look at the wrist. Hey, but I haven't done it in a while. I'm trying to find some new methods, so I'm definitely trying to get into recording myself. So I'm glad that you actually mentioned that.
Yeah, because it's like music. You know what I'm saying? You listen to a song on repeat, by then you singing it and not even realizing you singing every single word. And so that's how I like to look at it.
Same. And I will say, oh, I can't stand this song, but I hear it on the radio and I catch myself singing
and you know
it.
Every word.
Yep. So I'm like smiling while you're sharing how your process, because mine is the same way. And then sometimes I'll record myself and I'm like, that's not how I wanted it. So I'll record it again the way that I have it. And I drive. So sometimes I'm like, instead of listening to this song that I've heard so many times or this podcast over, let me listen to myself. And then I'll I'll keep trying until I memorize it. And I'm like, oh snap! I actually memorized a 2-minute poem. Great for me. But if I could memorize a 4-minute song, why not give the same effort to my poetry?
Exactly that. Yeah.
Also, I wanted to mention before we let you go, when I met Keys, it was kind of funny. We both showed up to the event mad early, like
an hour and a half early. No lie.
So early, like they thought we was setting up. That's how early we showed up.
No, literally, they didn't ask us no questions. They didn't say nothing to it because what happened? Right, but yeah, it was funny because like you said, both of us got there early, and we're both just sitting there like waiting, and we started like talking to each other, whatever. And then even the host was just like, I didn't know who y'all were. He was like, I saw y'all here, and I was like, maybe they part of the crew. I don't know. We
waited so paid, like, oh, you here to perform too? Oh,
yeah.
I'm trying to get on the list. You want to get on the list, you got to show up early.
That event. Oh yeah, you got to get there early.
Yeah, exactly, right. And I was like, listen, because the last time I had went to their event, I got there, and I mean, by the time I made it to the list, it was just like, forget about it. So I was like, I'm not missing it this time. I'm gonna get here early, like. So, sure enough,
we had the same mindset. Sat there and still ended up being at the bottom of the list.
Right, because they randomized it. So even if you signed up in order, they start playing with it, and we both just like, well, when am I going? Because
I know I got my name on there. Like they gonna call me, and okay.
But it was a great show, though. It was worth sitting through, honestly. Like it was a beautiful show.
I love that. I hope I get to. I'm just so busy. I hope I get to go next time. I was mad I missed it. Yeah, I'm glad y'all met each other because now I got to meet you. So yes. I look forward to following you and hearing more poetry and possibly meeting you in person. So yeah, thank you so much. It's a pleasure of having you on our podcast.
Yes, for sure.
Before we let you go, first of all, is there anything else that you want the people to know? So now we know your name is Keys. We know you're a Sag, Deadass. And then we know that you have a book on Amazon. Is there anything else that you want the people to know?
I mean, y'all can follow me on Instagram at onlykeyswill 2_. That's onlykeyswill 2_. And the link is also in my bio for my book. And then I have 2 events that are coming up in June, which I have the link for. One of them is free. It's just RSVP. It's for Juneteenth. That's another event. Yeah, that's another event I got to memorize a poem for. So I'm like, my brain is
memorization overload.
Yeah.
Listen, but I'm grateful, that these opportunities are coming to me. And then I have one on June 22nd, and the link is in the bio for that as well. So if y'all want to see me in person, that's where I'll be next. If anything happens before that, I'll just post it, but those are the next 2 events.
Yes, absolutely. It was so lovely to have you. I texted Yaya and I was like, I got another poem for us. Yeah. We gotta have on a Yeah, let me see if she interested. The people gotta hear.
Right.
Yes, thank y'all for having me. I appreciate you for considering me. So
Absolutely.
yes.
Until next time.
Yes, for sure.
Till next time. Bye. Y'all, we are now in our hot topic segment where I and my best friend are going to talk about boundaries. What are boundaries? What are the different type of boundaries? Are they clear, rigid, or not?
Who knows?
So yeah, y'all know Monie, she shared earlier that she is a teacher. Obviously, with that, you need some boundaries. And I spoke earlier because I said I have clients. I'm a therapist, and I have to teach people about boundaries. But we are not professionals right now. We are Yaya and we are Monie, and we're going to talk about from our own experience as regular human beings what this topic is.
Absolutely.
So, jumping right off of that, there is a proper definition of boundaries, but we want to say for ourselves how we go about defining boundaries. So if somebody says that word boundaries, what's the first thing that comes in our heads? You want to go first?
I sure can. When I think of boundaries, I think of a line you should not cross. And when that line is crossed, I'm going to remind you that you need to be on the other side of it. You're coming too close. So let's be mindful of the line that is set. That is, when you cross it, I will let you know. It's crossing the line.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
When I hear boundary, everybody knows I speak in analogies too. Like Monie just said, crossing the line. I think about a gate and a house behind that gate. So, I can let you into the gate, or I don't want you to pass the gate and to get into my house, but it's up to me if I let you in or not. So that's what I think of too. So basically the same thing, but just different. You have a line and I have a fence.
Yeah, but I like your analogy though. It's like how close am I allowing you to get? Like, all right, you passed the gate, you in my yard. Okay, now I might let you on the porch. I might let you in the house.
Yeah.
But I also have the option of telling you to get out of my house. Now you're back on the porch. Now you're back on the yard. And at some point, depending on the situation, you might be on the outside of that gate.
So it's levels to it.
It's levels. It could be levels to boundaries. Absolutely.
I got an OOP. You can't come to see me in my gate on my porch in my house looking like a dork.
And
So that's how we define boundaries. So a safeguard basically to our beings. All right, so we are using two sources today to help us get through this podcast. The first one is verywellhealth.com and the second one is choosingtherapy.com. Shout out to Monie for finding these resources for our podcast today. Because we don't just get up here and just yap. Ooh, look at those balloons.
Oh, congratulations.
Congratulations. Yes. So this boundary definition is coming from Very Well Health. And it says boundaries protect a person's personal or mental space. Like fences. Look at that, Monie. Like fences that give neighbors privacy and help them feel safe. Boundaries are the physical and emotional limits of appropriate behavior between people. They help define where one person ends and another begins. People often learn boundaries during childhood with their families, but not always. I like that.
Definitely. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and I didn't even look at it like with the whole fences thing, but I did think like, it's a clear line right here. It's not gonna erase when it rains. Like if you draw a line with chalk, it's not gonna erase. It's not gonna go away. Some people have locks on their gate. Some people you lift up the latch and you can get into the gate. Some people have keys. Everybody has their own way of setting a boundary, and putting it out there. But it's clear that there's a boundary there.
Absolutely.
But some houses don't have fences. It's up to you to put that boundary there.
Right. How clear are you making what the boundary is? Are your boundaries clear?
Are they?
No, I was thinking about the last line though, as far as like learning as a child within your families. You know how everybody's raised different, you're taught things differently. So that was just kind of something that just popped up in my head. Like, that is That is true. You start learning things within the household and how then you start to decipher as you get older if you're going to maintain those things that you learned as a child or if you're going to alter your beliefs, actions, etc. from what you learned in childhood. So that's definitely very interesting. Learning
And
boundaries as a child.
you may also learn to not set boundaries with people
Mm-hmm.
because you were pressed so much as a child to give that uncle a hug or tell your cousin, let your cousin read your diary or whatever the case may be. So
Mm-hmm.
many boundaries could be pushed because as a child, in most cases, it's easier to be manipulated than as an adult. So, some people, like you read the About Love book. So as a child, you're kind of pushed to do things, and then we don't, as adults, when I say we, hold on to that trauma that we had as a child and feel like, well, give an excuse of, well, I learned this trauma from when I was a kid, or my parents never said sorry. As an adult, you have to accept that, even though they may not apologize, you have to hear that apology for yourself and correct that behavior. So it's the
Right.
same thing with boundaries. You may have learned clear, great boundaries, but you may have not. But that doesn't excuse you from setting those boundaries up as an adult. Like, I let people do whatever because I never learned it as a child. You can still learn.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you became an adult doesn't mean that you can't learn anything.
Right. And if you never learned what a boundary was, it's still a matter of, as an adult, respecting what someone's boundary is.
Mm-hmm. Shoot,
You know?
there's Webster Dictionary and there's Google. You can learn it and then put it into play. Learn that definition, baby.
Learn, baby.
So speaking about learning, Moni already mentioned clear. There are three types of boundaries. We have clear boundaries, we have rigid boundaries, and we have open boundaries. So just so we could change the voices up a little bit, Moni, since you've been saying clear, you want to read clear and then we could talk about clear? And
Yes,
we're not talking about
absolutely.
clear at the airport, guys. We're talking about clear boundaries.
Right. Clear boundaries. Even though clear at the airport does have a clear boundary.
Boundaries.
Okay.
They're going to for the members, baby.
All right.
Good
So
one.
clear boundaries are directly stated, flexible, and adaptable. While there is warmth, support, and stability within the family, each member is able to be assertive, communicate their needs, and develop their own interests. And I even think with the definition, this could be friends, just people that you come in contact with, like just being able to be assertive, communicate your needs, and develop their own interest.
Mm-hmm. So I think someone reading this may feel like, well, if it's clear, if it's directly stated, and I'm saying what I mean what I say about this boundary, how is it flexible? For me, what I hear is things change. This boundary today, I might say I'm a person who doesn't open up to anybody. Don't ask me about what I'm personally going through or whatever. So everybody knows not to ask Yaya. Perfect example. Let me give this one. I grew up being a person that's called sensitive, and I took that as being a negative thing because it was always said to me when I'm crying about something or like everybody else is so tough and can hold it in. Why do I hold on to this weakness? So my mom and I had a conversation about it because I told her like that's not cool. How would you feel if I how would you feel if I told you guys you're too strong? Like not I didn't say you're too strong, but I said something that was like a negative word of what they call themselves. Like you're using it as an insult. I know, like I hear you now as well, that's just how you are, but you saying you're so sensitive is never when I'm crying and I'm saying, oh, this was such a great movie, and you're like, oh, I love how sensitive you are. No, it's always when we're talking about something and you see that I'm getting emotional, it's like, oh, she's so sensitive. So my family's boundary that was clear was that, yeah, I am so sensitive. So I have to tiptoe around things that I say because if I say it to her, it might come off wrong and it might hurt her feelings. So I'm not going to say anything wrong. I'm just going to let her do whatever unless I have to, or if I'm mad at her, then I'll say it. So there was a clear boundary that wasn't always stated, but it was there until I was able to state to my mom, I don't want you to tiptoe. You saying something to me doesn't mean that you have to be mean about it. You can filter what you're saying so that it comes off respectful to me, but you not saying that I'm mean. Like they said, I mean, I felt proud about being mean, because I thought I was too soft and nice. But you saying certain things to me doesn't, like, feeling things doesn't mean I want you to not say it, because I feel some type of way now that you feel like you have to hold those things and you can't say it to me. So be flexible. And the adaptable thing is, okay, before they weren't saying it to me, now they know they can say things to me, but they have to be flexible in how they say it to me. So like to Simone, you might say, "Oh girl, I don't like your hair." And then she like, "Well, I don't care, like it's my hair." But for Yaya, it might, this isn't true, but this is the best example I can give right now without putting too much business out there. You might say, "Oh Yaya, I don't like your hair." Then I might go try to find some other hair because you don't like it, and I might be in my feelings opposed to not caring. So
Yeah,
that's what came to my mind.
I think flexibility also lies in giving whoever's setting that boundary the opposite person like room for understanding, like allowing that to be flexible. Because as a person that's being told the boundary, I should be able to be flexible in respecting that boundary and allowing you to express yourself and especially in regards to being vulnerable and stating how you feel and what you will allow and what you won't. As the other person, I should be able to respect that. And if I can't, then maybe there needs to be some ties cut within that relationship if I'm not willing to respect the boundary that was set. Like I have to be
That's true.
flexible enough to change my thought process and what I thought I knew and what I thought I understood. And also knowing that maybe the way that I speak to this person, I can't speak the same way to this other person. There's definitely clear boundaries with how you communicate and interact with different people. So you have to be flexible in that way as well.
Yeah, and I think you also touched on the adaptable part as well. Being able to adapt, because there's been times where you and I have had conversations and we'll be like, but it's been like this all the time. And then we have to adapt because maybe one of us went through something. One day we're going to be pregnant and maybe we may experience and become different of how we're able to take things or do things. And we have to adapt with that. Like right now, I can call you anytime, talk to you anytime, be with you whenever I want to when we have time for that. But when you get married and when we have babies and stuff, it's not going to always be like that. We have to adapt.
Right.
So the same thing with the boundaries. I may not be able to call you in the middle of the night because you just got the baby to sleep and you tired, or doing different things or whatever. So we got to adapt.
Yeah, extreme D&D. All right, you ain't getting through on this. I just put the baby to sleep.
Right. And I got to put myself to sleep.
Right now it's time for my nap.
All right, let's move on to the next boundary, which is rigid boundaries. Rigid boundaries are closed and inflexible, much like a wall that does not let anything in or out. There's less engagement and more isolation, both within the family and in the outside world. It can be more challenging for family members to communicate needs and express individuality when rigid boundaries are in place. I like the analogy of the wall, like a fixed wall. So, you can't get through it. You can't get in, out. It's not changing at all. So we have individuals with rigid boundaries may have difficulty forming close connections and struggle with empathy and understanding. What are your thoughts? Because I see you moving your mouth. And I was going to say, I think it's just telling, like rigid, to me, just knowing the definition of rigid is just like stern. Like I said what I said, I mean I mean what I said, and there's no changing, there's no flexibility, and I don't care.
It's reminding me, I was immediately thinking when I heard the term wall of like an emotional wall that people start to build over time. Like I've been through this thing. All right, now I'm never allowing that to happen to me again. All right, now I'm building this wall. Up, that happened. Now my wall is just getting taller and taller, a little thicker. No one can penetrate it. But then I'm also thinking like when people start to be in different types of relationships, whether friendships or dating relationships, now there's barriers that need to be broken down because now I want to understand you as this person, but you're not allowing me in. You've set a boundary so thick that it's making it very difficult for me to understand you as a person. So until that person that set that rigid boundary is willing to start letting those walls down a little bit, piece by piece, brick by brick, it's going to be hard to build within that relationship, which I've seen actually happen in real time with people trying to build something. It's going to take, that's something that takes a lot of patience from the person that's really trying to grow and understand someone. But I think it also takes a lot of growing and understanding from the person that's setting those rigid boundaries to know and understand that the person that's trying to penetrate what they put up is actually like building that trust. That in that's honestly what it is, in order to build that trust and that vulnerability in order to let someone in. Whether you want to use the analogy of a wall, a gate, lock, whatever it is, that's where I think that stems from for me.
The theme in what you're saying I hear is growth. I meant to do growth, like insecure. Because just the same example that you gave, when people have been hurt so much, they start to build the wall. And then a lot of people leave a relationship because that person scorned them in whatever way. So it's a protective barrier of, I'm not going to let the next person or whoever play me like that, hurt me like that, do me like that again. And then you go into that next relationship with that wall up. If it's rigid, there's no flexibility at all that I want to break down the wall. I'm going to start to chip at the stones, the bricks, so that I could put them down. But if you have clear boundaries, okay, this person hurt me before. I build up this wall. I go to the next relationship and I say, listen, this person cheated on me X amount of times. So I will go through his drawers, or I will check his credit card account or whatever, because that's how I call him cheating. So in this relationship, I'm gonna do the same thing because I need to protect myself and be on the lookout. Y'all, this is not me. I'm making this up.
Making that clear.
Yeah, make that clear. Make that clear. But if you go in or whatever, like, I've been a person that built up walls, but I also been told by my mom and other people who love me that you have to know that that next person wasn't that last person, and you can't let your past hurt come and ruin your new blessing because you came in with that wall and you're making it hard for that person to have trust in your relationship or whatever, or even like that person because of the rigidness. So the difference between clear and rigid so far is that rigid person, I have my wall, I don't give a F, and I'm keeping my wall up. The other person with the clear boundaries, okay, this is how I feel. I don't like when people lie. I don't like when people do this. Da, 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 da. These are my boundaries. So if you break that, if you mess that up, I might be out the door. Maybe we could talk about it. I'll give you one chance, but like, they make those clear boundaries, and maybe they do have a semi wall, but they're willing to chip it down. But the rigid boundaries, like, I am what I am. You take it or leave it, and a lot of people are probably going to leave it.
Yeah. Let's go to, what's the next one? Open boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
So open, also called diffuse. Open boundaries are not clear. It might even be fuzzy or loose. It can be hard for individual family members to have their needs met. Families with open boundaries can be enmeshed and show more codependency traits.
Yes. I know what all these words mean. I'm wondering, like, should we define them or are we okay?
You want to define enmeshed?
Okay, so yeah, I want to start with diffuse though.
Okay.
So we can hear you typing over there.
Sorry.
So
I
diffuse, diffuse. It sounds like Hermit. Hermit, I mean. Diffuse. If you're watching the video, I did my hands like a gesture of my fingers coming together, because it's like things are flowing together, like coming together. I don't know how to describe it without doing my hands like this. Enmeshed means like you're really, really close. Like if you think about, you come home from school and you're kicking it with your mom on the couch. She's on the phone, but you're still like very, very close to her. She's about to go to the mall. You drive into the mall with your mom. Your mom might be I was about to give a personal example, but I'll keep that out. But like your mom, maybe having a dinner date at home and you just sitting up under her, like somebody that's clingy kind of. But it's not a negative thing to be enmeshed with somebody, but you depend on that person, opposed to like you're never around, or maybe you go to your room and she goes to her room and you're separate. She cooks dinner, you take your dinner and go to your room, kind of thing. Like you're just totally separate. But there's no negative in either being separate or being close, which is a mesh. So enmesh means close, and then opposite of a mesh is separated.
Yeah, immediately the first thing that I thought of as I was reading it was about like codependency. So
Yep.
as far as like boundaries being open, allowing the thought that came to mind was allowing someone to basically even if it's something that you're uncomfortable with, you allow them to do it anyway because you like being around that person. It made me think of even like being in like toxic relationships. You know this is something that this person shouldn't be doing, but because you love to be with them so much, be around this person so much, you allow them to do things without telling them like, hey, I don't like this, or you're willing to compromise things that you really do not like in
Yeah.
order to make that person feel comfortable, opposed to honoring your own boundaries. That's
Yes.
what I thought of. And then
I love
then
that.
switching it up, because then it becomes fuzzy when you go back and forth on what your boundaries are. Like at first you said this, but now you telling me this. Like, not to say that a person can't change their mind, but it's not direct. You're not being clear on exactly what you want. You keep switching it. It's
Yeah.
not like you're switching it in a way like you're making it better. It's more so like in a way moving backwards, and it's not helping the connection in that relationship.
So the quote that comes to my mind right now is, say what you mean and mean what you say, and don't be too nice. I was making faces because I was thinking about two things. So I hate cigarette smoke, and some weed smells too. So my friends, a lot of my friends in grad school smoke, but they knew I don't like that smell because I had a clear boundary of I don't like that smell, so they wouldn't smoke around me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then for this open boundary, I have a strict rule of you can't sleep in my bed. Even I can't sleep in my bed unless there's a shower being taken before you get in my bed. So the fuzziness and the openness of it came when I was dating someone, and he would come over and I would just be like, it's okay, fine. Like don't like I feel like I would be like too, I don't know why I thought this, but like too stuck up or too picky if I said no, you got to get in the shower before you get in my bed. But then I thought, month go by, some change goes by, and I'm like, this is my bed, and you came from outside and into my bed. Like, what am I doing here? And I realized that it's fuzzy. Like this person knows that, but he also knew that I allow him to still sleep in my bed. And now I'm dealing with, as soon as he leave, I gotta wash the bedding and everything, and it's adding more laundry because I just let you break my rule. And I had to clear that fuzziness. Like, okay, I know I let you do it before, but I really have this rule and it's bothering me. Um, so moving forward, when you come over, you have I like even if you take a shower beforehand, just for me, you have to take a shower before you hop in my bed. So the fuzziness is uncomfortable. I can't deal with it. And then two people have the fuzziness with sex. Like you may have this boundary of I don't do oral, or I don't do anal, or I don't do thruples, like whatever your limitation may be. Um, some people have that fuzziness because they're like, I like this person so much, or I might like knowing that you are not open to doing that, and you have that fuzziness, and it could create drama potentially. Um, not drama, it could break trust, possibly. It could break understanding. It could break a whole bunch of things, boundaries moving forward, because it's like, what do you mean you don't like this? We've done it before. Like a lot of people like to look at the past, so it's easier, if you have clear boundaries from the beginning, and then it's maybe flexible. Like, okay, I know I said no to this, but now I'm willing to give it a try, opposed to openness and the fuzziness of confusion. Like the word
Yeah.
fuzziness make me think like you're confused and you're confusing people with what's okay to do with you, what's not okay to do with you, what's okay that you'll accept and what's not okay for you to accept. Because yesterday you said yes, today you saying no, now you're saying yes again. I don't know which route to take.
Yeah, it's making me think of once when I was dating someone
Mm-hmm.
and we decided, okay, we're not going to date anymore. Let's just go ahead and be friends. So we're still hanging out or whatever. And I had a boundary of, if we're going to be hanging out as just friends, we are absolutely not doing the same things that we were doing as if we're still dating one another. So like having sex off the table, like holding hands, you know, kissing, things like that. Like we're not doing those things. We're going to be friends. We're going to be friends. I'm treating you as if you are one of my friends.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm like, I know for a fact I made my boundary clear, but it seems to him that the boundary was open. So it was like going out and doing things and you grabbing on my booty. My friends don't grab on my booty. So it's like, I'm
Yeah, I don't
pretty
grab on your
sure I
booty.
made the boundary clear, but you making it seem like this boundary is open. This is not an open boundary. So then I had to, now it's completely done. Now we're not even friends because
Mm-hmm.
clearly what the boundary that we set together is not something that you're willing to respect.
Yeah.
So now I need to cut ties. That's just as simply as it is. So I say that to say, like, even if you set a clear boundary, it may not still be clear to the person that you set that boundary with. And you're gonna either have to remind them, or at some point be like, you know what, because you're keep crossing the line and you're not respecting what I said, it's done deal. We can't be friends.
Yeah, I remember that situation when you said touch the butt situation. I was like,
grabbing
oh,
on my booty. What's wrong with you?
Grabbing on my booty.
Want to be friends, but you want to grab on my booty. This ain't a friends with benefits type of situation. That's not what I want. Anyway.
You just answered the next question, kinda, which is, how do you know when a boundary is crossed?
Mm-hmm.
I think, for me, there's this inkling that I get, like I get a feeling of discomfort. That's how I know a boundary is crossed. I've had a boundary crossed with somebody that I considered a friend, where this person would tell me stuff about things that was supposedly said, because I don't know if they were really said or not. But I've also known that my business was shared with other people. And I'm like, as a friend, I trust that whatever conversations that we have stay between us, or maybe between a circle of friends that we have, but not crossing to people who you don't even want to tell me who the person you had the conversation with. Or like, why are you protecting this person, but I'm supposed to be your friend and you're not protecting me? But I know that you were kikiing or grabbing information about me and stuff that's supposedly happened dealing with me. You're supposed to be my friend. So I started to get this discomfort about even kicking it with this person or calling them a friend. How could you be my friend if you're doing all these things? And then as far as like dating with people, it's the same thing. Like, whether it's a gut reaction, whether it's chills on my body, whether it's me questioning myself, do you really want to hang out with this person? Do you really want to do this? Like, did you really say yes? Like, it's just like that internal instinct that I have that just kicks in. So it's not like I know when I have to repeat myself 3 times, or I know when my eye turns pink, or like, it's nothing like that. It's just like this high, it could be high, it could be mid level of discomfort that comes over me, that's like, yeah, something's not right.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with you as far as it feeling uncomfortable. Like, all right, something's not right. And I don't, whether it's a physical thing, I don't like how you touch me, whether it's a verbal thing, I don't like how you spoke to me.
Yeah.
Or even if it's like a mental thing, like I don't like how you're treating me and how do I word this properly? I don't know, it's like a way of, what's the word that I want? Because I want to say like it's a way of like taking up my mental space. Like you're doing things on purpose to make me feel a certain way. And it's like,
Yeah.
don't treat me like that. I'm trying to find a better way to word it. If you can think of what I'm trying to say, please chime in. But it's just a matter of like tactics that people do.
I'm thinking about gaslighting. I don't know
That
if that's
works
the word
too,
you're
or
trying to
even like
use.
even narcissistic behavior, trying to make it seem like you crazy, like things that you mention.
They got you questioning yourself, like, am I tripping? I
Right.
gotta call Simone. Am I tripping? Is it me?
Exactly. Thank you. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Like things like
Stop
that.
tripping.
So like it's yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Yes.
Yeah.
But I already mentioned the booty thing, so we know how I know a boundary is crossed.
Yeah, like, and that too, if you say something to
No means
somebody,
no.
no means no. And if you got me reading through my freaking text messages, saying like, I know I said this to you in person and through text message. Was this not clear? Does this not say what I think it meant? Like, do I have to? And then telling myself, okay, setting a boundary for myself. I'm not going to text anymore. I'm not going to read this text messages.
Mm-hmm.
Me saying that for myself, because I used to think, okay, that's messed up. The person sent the text message, you don't want them to ghost you, but it's not ghosting. It's just stopping. It's setting the boundary because I know how my mind will go haywire if I allow that person to, in their words, try to manipulate or gaslight me or feel like I did something wrong when I know I was clear about what I wanted. Woosah.
Woosah.
So there are several types of boundaries that exist.
Yes.
There's physical boundary. There's sexual boundary. There's mental and intellectual boundary. There's emotional boundary. There's material and financial boundary, and there's time. So there are 6. We're going to go through them again, give examples of physical boundaries: sexual, mental, emotional, material, and time. So the first one, physical. Physically, majore.
I mean, shoot, as a teacher, I can definitely say that I have to be mindful of physical boundaries. And not even to say, most of it is innocent, not even to say that, I'm like, what's the word that I want? Being inappropriate, but some things can be deemed inappropriate if I don't create a physical boundary with my students. Like as far as like even just hugging a student or being speaking to a student but talking too closely. I don't want any lines to be crossed or anything to seem blurred, because kids can go home and tell their parents anything. And I want to make sure that I'm maintaining a relationship with my students that's respectable, but also doesn't cross a physical boundary that could be seen as if, oh, Miss Loud been doing too much. Oh, Miss Loud do XYZ with her kids. No, that's not true. So even
you don't
for
want to be
kids,
another teacher on the internet.
I do not, especially for kids that like love hugs. They like to run up and give you hugs. Like some of those things I can't avoid. Like if a kid run up to me and hug me, I'm like, hey, but it's still a matter. Sometimes I gotta tap a child on the side, tap them on the shoulder. Good morning. Because most kids are innocent and they're not thinking, unless their parents say don't be running up to people and hugging them, going back to what you learned as a child. Like for children, hugging is a very innocent thing to do, and it's not like kids are coming up to you, hugging you inappropriately or grabbing different body parts. That's just their way of showing that they care. But as an adult, I have to be mindful of that boundary and let them know, like, hey, I know you want to run up to me and give me a hug, but you can't run up to give me a hug and squeeze me tight every morning. We gotta set the line.
So for physical, the first thing that I thought of was my nephew. I have twin nephews, and I also have Jordan, who's not a twin, but he's their brother. But I'm speaking specifically about Niall and Noah. Noah is very sociable. Niall, well, at this age, some years ago, Noah, they call him the mayor. He loves to speak with people. He loves hugs. He likes to be picked up. Niall was the opposite. He likes to play with other kids. He likes to play with people he know, but he's not going to be a person that goes up to strangers and say hi and ask for a hug. But Noah will. So I love that his parents taught him to say, like, no to hugs or no to being picked up, because adults have this thing where some adults, they love to pick up kids. They love to ask for that hug. Like I mentioned earlier, oh, give uncle a hug, give auntie a hug. Then some parents will say, oh, it's okay, give him a hug. But that child is not, they're human too. They're just in smaller packages right now until they grow. They don't want to be hugged. So I love that my sister-in-law taught him, no, thank you. So I remember one time I went to pick him up and try to give him a hug, and he said, no, thank you, in his little squeaky voice. And I was like, no, thank you. Like, no, I want a hug. Like, what the heck? And I had to check myself. This baby, 2 years old, was setting a boundary to me, saying, I had enough hugs for today, or I'm not in the mood for today. and respectfully, no thank you. I don't want to be picked up, or I don't want to hug. So I said, okay, let me go to somebody else that want to hug. And that also for me, one of my love languages, well, I have all the love languages, okay, I'll take them all. But I love when I'm feeling down, physical touch in the manner of hugs helps me feel better. So my mom, she's not the mom that's gonna be like, hey Yaya, I give you a hug. She uses her words and just hanging out with you. But I've learned, because I used to say, oh, I wish my mom would give me hugs. I wish da 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 da. But why not ask? So I've learned to ask my mom, hey mom, can I have a hug? And then she will give me a hug. So those are the literally like contact touching boundaries of physical. But I do want to add one more if that's okay for
Okay.
physical. Um, Sometimes physical comes for me and some maybe people that's listening as a safety concern regarding what I'm about to say, which is a chivalrous thing that some people should know. Men walk on the outside of the street. And this is physical because we're there, right? So whenever myself and this guy that I was dating or people I'm walking with, I have to be on the inside if you're a guy
Oh,
walking
absolutely.
with me. I don't feel safe. And there was one instance where we were walking down the street and he was walking faster than me. And he walked through a group of guys, like 10 guys standing outside talking. It was not like a huge threat. Maybe people look at it, but it was at night. And I never, like, I'm sure a lot of women listening to this, maybe men too, typically walk across the street to get away so I don't have to walk past that group.
Yeah, a
And
large
I'm
group of
looking
people.
like, yo, like, what the heck? He looks back like, come on. I'm like, that's so uncomfortable. So that's the physical thing of my boundary. I had to keep repeating myself. It's important for you to walk on the outside and it's important for us to walk together. Yes, it's the look of us looking like we're together, but it's also a safety concern too. Anybody, when you walk past, one of those guys could have grabbed me, somebody else could have snatched me up, a monster could have eaten me, and you won't know because you're ahead of me and not paying attention to me. So
Monster.
yeah, physical regarding anything is you have to set that clear boundary and let people know because they won't know.
No,
Not
absolutely.
everybody knows these things, so verbalize what that boundary is.
Yeah, I went on a date once and a guy was walking on the other side and I was like, first of all, he had never even understood what that was. I said, my father would disown me if he knew I was walking with you
Hello?
and you on the other side. And he couldn't grasp the concept. We never went on another date. I said, no, if you don't understand why I think it's important for you to protect me by walking on the outside, I'm not discussing it again.
It's a
And
no for you,
it was a
dog.
first date. It was a hell no. But it was
Hell
also the way the
no.
conversation went. He wasn't respectful about that boundary. So it was a hell
Yeah,
no for me.
that's good. Good for you for seeing that red flag. I think I added yellow to my flag so it'll be a little orange. So our
Sexual.
next, yes, sexual healing. Okay, I'll go first.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Sexual boundary kind of taps into what I said earlier. So a lot of people are different. Sorry, a lot of people are into different things. Just because you're pansexual, heterosexual, demisexual, whatever, it doesn't mean that you're within that category into the same things. Some people don't like to be touched. Some people don't like to kiss. Some people don't, like different things. We have to respect one another and what we want. So maybe maybe you two like the same things, right? Like you like the different types of sexual things that you can do with each other, different positions, um, shoot, all 50 shades of gray. You into everything, right? But maybe one day I'm just not in the mood right now. And your boo is all kissing on you and stuff. It's okay to say not right now, babe, or whatever that language that you have with each other to let them know and not feel that discomfort while that person is trying to have sex with you and in your mind like, oh, I hope he just gets it or I hope she just hurries up so we can get it over with because why should you feel that ick?
Yeah.
Mind you, you love the sex and stuff, but maybe you had a rough day at work. Maybe you're something's going on with you about your body, you not feeling confident, whatever the case may be, it's okay to set that boundary and let them know that today is a no. It's a no for you.
Absolutely. And even before the sexual activity begins, is people set boundaries as either they don't want to have sex until X amount of time, or I don't want to have sex until we're in a committed relationship. I don't want to have sex until marriage. That's
Yeah.
the boundary. This I don't want
Excuse
to
me.
have sex yet. And not wanting to have sex at all should be respected. Like, it just, and some people have an issue with that. And I feel like as someone that is telling you I don't want to have sex until this time, if you're trying to pressure me to do something I don't want to do, then you're not the one for me. Like, if you're not
Yeah.
able to respect what I'm telling you and you are crossing my line, I'm going to cut your line and we will no longer be in contact. Because who has time to be disrespected based off the boundary that they said? Nobody.
Nobody. Some
No means
people's
no.
confidence though is so low that they give into that. Like, oh well, he's only gonna, or she's only gonna, or they're only gonna if I do this.
Yeah.
But you may feel low about yourself if you feed into that pressure from that other person. And they should be feeling shitty about themselves for pressuring you into anything. But it feels so much better to walk away from somebody that says, okay, you're not having sex with me, then we're not going to do this. Okay. But the next person that respects you will, and you're going to feel so much better with that next person opposed to this person who's probably just using you for the moment.
Right. Because what would really suck for you to find out that, I think most people wait because they don't want to end up having a sexual encounter with this person and then they leave them, making it seem as if you only stayed around this long just to have sex with me. And that's
Yeah.
what sucks.
Yeah. And that's an internal thought, but you would rather have that, not have that internal thought than to have that.
Right.
And speaking of thoughts, the next one is mental and intellectual boundary. With hearing this one is making me think about my cousin Ronald. Shout out Ronald. I know you're listening to the podcast. I love when they end Unpacked and Detangle episodes saying, I'm a therapist, but I'm not your therapist. Because sometimes when people know what your practices or your career is, they try to tap into that in conversations. And I love my friends, like the people I genuinely call friends. I love my friends because I don't give y'all a boundary. Y'all set that boundary yourselves. Like Tay would say, "Oh, I didn't want to talk with you because I know you had a long day at work, and I didn't want you to feel like you're talking about more heavy stuff or whatever. So I just waited before I told you about this." Or um I set a boundary too. Like when I talk with certain people and they're telling me about stuff, and I'm like, which Yaya you want? You want your friend Yaya? You want the therapist? Like which one you want? Like we myself and my friends work together because sometimes I'm a person, I don't like to talk about work outside of work. I hate it.
Yeah.
Like I'll listen to people talk about it, but don't put me into that conversation because I'm not talking about, like, why y'all want to sit and talk about work all day? Like, no. So respect my mental boundary. That's like when people coming to you about talking about school. I done
Yeah.
been at school at work all day. I don't want to talk about that or whatever. I need that space to breathe. So setting that clear boundary of, hey, I just dealt with a client that told me about suicidal ideation, or I just dealt with a client that talked about their breakup or domestic violence or whatever the case may be, and it's just heavy on me right now. Can we? I know you want to talk about your boyfriend and the drama that y'all have, but I really don't feel like I have the energy that I want to give you or the fairness because I might be, because of what happened with that. It may not, my opinion may not weigh nicely right now. So let's just protect that energy and not talk about it at this time.
Absolutely. For me, mentally, I keep myself out of certain conversations. Like, some people love a good, healthy debate, and especially if it has to do around politics or religion, I really don't feel like getting too deep into conversation, especially when it comes to certain people who just not gonna let down. So what I
Yeah.
decide to do to protect my mental and try people not to try to deem me as not being intellectual, I just keep myself out of the conversation. There's no reason for me to talk about this, and for my own sanity, I'm not gonna have this conversation with you. Because sometimes in certain situations, there's a time and place for everything, and I don't want to talk about this right now.
Yeah.
I'll let you know when I'm ready to talk. Like, I want to make sure that I am keeping a fine line. Come on, let's keep talking about lines. On whether I am either comfortable about talking about this, ready to talk about this, or don't want to talk about this at all. Boom, boom, boom. That's it.
I love that. I like that. The next one is emotion.
Emotional.
Emotional roller coaster.
Emotion makes me think about speaking in confidence, because when I'm speaking to my friends, or speaking to anybody, especially when it comes to something personal, I have the expectation of, I'm speaking to you in confidence. That information should not get to anybody else, and I should not find out about that information getting to anybody else. Because if I hear from XYZ about ABC, I know it came from you.
Oh, I thought
Because
you
you're
wanted
the
to
only
fight.
person. No, I know it came from you because you're the only person I told. And if I come to you and ask you, like, hey, did you speak to such and such about this? I expect for you to tell me the truth, because it's in. I'm not gonna say it's a thin line, because the line is pretty thick. But I think so, because sometimes I do it myself, especially when it comes to a close knit group of friends, of sharing information that you don't realize that you're not supposed to share. So what I've started doing is catching myself when I'm having conversations, like, oh, wait, hold on, before I even get into that, or like, hey, how, like, someone's asked me, like, hey, how's Yaya doing? And I get into it like, oh, hey, yeah, she's good. And I'll be like, actually, let me pause. I'm gonna let Yaya update you on that. As far as I know, she's great, but she's gonna need to update you on her life updates. Because especially unless somebody tells me, like, hey, don't speak to anybody about this, then sometimes I might have the inclination to want to share, especially if it's exciting news.
Yeah.
Like, for example, definitely if I was like getting ready to have a baby, that'd be something to be like, hey, I don't want you to share that just yet. I'm just sharing this with you. Or sometimes I'll ask, like, hey, do you mind if I share this information, or is this something that you want to keep between us? Like, I have to be mindful of that emotional boundary of sharing information.
Yeah. That sounds like me, because one of our dear friends had a baby, and another friend who's also a dear friend was asking, like, how's everybody doing? How's your friends? Da, da, da. And I wanted to share that news, but before I did, I text our friend, like, oh, this person is asking about you. Is it okay if I share this? And they said, yeah, and give them my number. And I was like, oh, okay. And I shared, and they're like, what? Or whatever. Also for emotion too, just because I call somebody a friend, a family member, an acquaintance, whatever, doesn't mean that they have to know all of my business. So I used to find myself in spaces where I share everything with people, but I learned that it also, some people feel entitled to give their opinion. And sometimes maybe I'm dumping because I need to hear myself out loud share. Or maybe I just, I don't know, I just need you there for the moment opposed to your opinion about it. Or maybe I just need you to ask me questions to help me think about it. Like, it's different reasons why people share. And sometimes sharing or oversharing your emotions with people can put you in not a great space, because let's take the example that people give all the time. You're saying, oh, I can't stand Stanley. He get on my nerves. He cheated on me. I can't think of any other example. He cheated on me. He did me dirty. Da, da, da. And then now all your friends hate Stanley because he cheated on you. He did you dirty. You can't stand him. So we can't stand him. And then you get back with Stanley, and it's like, your friend's energy is now matching that energy that you had before, and now they got to get over that because now you love Stanley, but we just hated Stanley. Like, what do we do with Stanley? Like, so just protecting that energy too. Just realizing some stuff that I feel and that I'm going through is not everybody's. Not it. It's never their business, but it's not. I don't need to share it. So, and then going into conversations like, okay, Moni, I need to just get this off my chest. I just need my friend to listen. Or, what do you think about this? Like, starting the conversation with whatever boundary I need. Like, I'm talking with you because I need you to hear me. I'm talking with you because I need to hear what you think about this. Do I sound foolish? Do I not? Am I right? I'm talking to you because I'm over this. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. Like, just setting that clear boundary of what's going on. And even sometimes when people cut in, like, oh, if I was you, nope, I don't want to hear if you were me. I was talking with you as a friend. I trusted you, or I confided in you to share this information. I don't really want the feedback, but I appreciate you for caring. Because
Yeah.
sometimes too, like I'm not a Pisces, but I'm like water. And if I'm telling you something that hurt me and then you're giving more hurt, it's like, am I dumb for still having feelings for this person or wanting to do this? Even though I'm mad about this, but I ain't that mad. You kind of hyped up right now, so I gotta protect my emotion so it's not more negative or more hurt, or like you said, potentially getting my business that I don't want out there with people.
Yeah, I've definitely had to start asking people, are you just calling me to vent, or are you calling for advice? Because I've had my feelings hurt by someone telling me I don't need no positivity right now. Ooh, sorry. I was just trying to make you feel better.
Wow.
Next time I know to ask you if you just calling me to vent. I've literally had that happen to me. So I'm like, please, I have to set that boundary now. What do you call? Are
Yeah.
you just venting, or you want my advice?
Word.
Like, to tell me you don't want positivity and you know I'm the positive person, why are you calling me?
Mm-hmm.
You know I'm gonna tell you. I mean, you know I'm gonna get you right.
But that's also important too, to know who that audience is, because you're reminding me of something. Like I used to, when I would confide in this other person, and then every time I said something, they take things and problem solve. And I had to let this person know, okay, I'm sharing things with you. I don't want you to solve it. I already kind of worked on it. I'm just sharing the feelings that I had before I solved it. Or sometimes I'm just sharing, this is what I feel right now. I'm just dumping on you. But I don't want you to solve my riddle for me, and let them know. And then whether they take it or not, if they take it, great. Then they know I'm just dumping on you. But if they don't take it, then that's on me to know, okay, I can't talk with this person right now because they're going to keep trying to Scooby Doo solve my mysteries, but I don't want that. Or they're going to keep being that positive person because that's who they are, and I don't want that. So maybe I'll just share positive things with this person, or share problem solving mysteries with this person, and don't share when I don't want those responses because I know they're going to give me those responses. So it's on both people, both
Yeah,
persons.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Material and financial boundaries.
Ooh, let me hop in on this one real quick. It makes me think about
Material girl.
letting people borrow things, or
Ooh,
borrowing money, specifically financially. For me, my mother always told me, I always forget exactly how she said it, but basically, if I can't afford to not get it back, or if I'm comfortable with not getting the money back, don't give it away.
yeah.
Something like that.
If you can't
So
afford to lose it, then don't give it. Like, if
yes,
you're gonna miss that
exactly.
$50, don't get them
Don't
$50.
get it $50. So I have come to learn that unless I know for a fact I've let you borrow money before and I know I can trust you to give it back to me, until you break that trust with me, I'm gonna continue to let people borrow money if I got it.
Hmm.
But when you break that trust, you know you owe me $100, and then you got the nerve to come back and ask me for more money. I'm not giving you anything. And
Yeah.
you're going to know why I'm not allowing you to give me anything. I set the boundary. Because what I don't do is I don't set a timeline for somebody to pay me back. I let you borrow it. I let you borrow it. You know you're borrowing it because you asked me to borrow it. So
Hmm.
like sometimes honestly I love my sisters to death. But I know there have been times where I've sent them money and I know in my head I'm not gonna get that money back. Even though they say they're gonna give it back to me. And it's all right. Those my
Yeah.
sisters. If I have it to give and I know it's okay for me to give it, they can have it. Now, if I need it back, I'm gonna be like, hey, I need you to give it. I love you. So, which is why I don't even want to have those conversations. So it's just a matter of me learning a hard lesson once upon a time when I let somebody borrow some money that I actually needed back, and I
Hmm.
did not get it back. It was basically, I felt like they stole from me pretty
Yeah.
much, and then they tried to act like they didn't owe me nothing. It was just kind of like,
Like they forgot it ever happened.
exactly. So like,
Hmm.
nah. See, not only am I not gonna let you borrow no money again, you're not gonna be able to borrow nothing from me. We can't even hang out. Like, I can't trust you. I
Yeah.
literally cannot trust you. You use me, pretty much. You use me. So having lost helped me to learn to set the boundary. And yeah, my mother taught me well. If you can't afford
Yeah.
to let it go, don't let it go.
Yeah. And going off of what you just shared, I've had things stolen from me
Mm,
from family members. One goes so back from, this person stole from my mom, my aunts, uncles, like the whole family. And then her son stole too, then from me. Like it was just like the pattern of just like you're just a klepto at this point. So what I learned for the older person was whenever she came over to like holidays, just hanging out, whatever the case may be, she can't go past a certain point in the house. And it was always the living room. She could sit in the living room. You want food, somebody go get it for you. You want to go to the bathroom, you go to the bathroom right there. You want like whatever the case may be, because there's been so much drama in the family, because this person takes stuff. And I remember one time there was a family block party, um, and after the block party, we had candy. Well, not we, but my mom had candy left over, snacks, sodas, everything. And came home from school. She and some other cousins were eating the candy, and I was like, "Why you got my mom's stuff?" And then she said, "Oh, she said we could have it. We could all hang out and have the candy." So I was like, "Are you sure?" She said, "Yeah." So we eating the candy, partying in the attic in the house, like, hey, drinking the soda and everything. And then my mom got home and saw us like going in her stuff, having her stuff, and we were like, "Our cousin said that you said we could have it." She was like, "No, y'all should know better than to listen to her." So we all got lined up and got spanked for
Not
not just
lined up.
she got, yes, it was a lot of us. So she got spanked because she was the one who was the liar and manipulated all of the little ones. But we all got in trouble because we should know better to listen to her. Um, and then I like put a lock on, like a fingerprint lock on my door, because the younger one had stolen LoveLoudd money from me before, and like other stuff, because people watch you when you're doing stuff. So like even at my home now, I make sure my curtain is down because I don't want people to learn my behavior, right? If I got my curtain open all day, they'll be like, "Oh, she do laundry on this day, or she does this," like they'll learn my behaviors. What's the name of that show when that guy used to kill people or whatever? I don't know, but I think about,
Dexter?
not that, it's not a cartoon. It was
No,
a
Dexter, the serial killer, the man that was killing people. He worked
that he
in
used to kill
forensic.
his girlfriends and everything. He worked at the library.
Oh, worked at a library. Never mind, different person. But there is a Dexter that killed people.
I can't remember his name, but he would fall in love and he loved a girl named Love and everything. But anyway, what I'm saying is they used to watch where I would go and hide my money, whether it was under the mattress, whether it was on top of the fridge, wherever. And then they saw that, and then my money slowly, and I never kept how much money I had. I just knew I had more than $10 hitting. So, those things regarding the kleptomania that you discussed. But I do want to touch on material. In my 20s, it was hard. Like you see people around our age with labels. You see people buying houses in their 20s. You see people like going on trips and everything like that. And I had to come to terms with myself that these some of them are being gifted that stuff. Some people are wearing knockoffs but buying um the um the name brand bag so that they could put the knockoff version that they got off of the street into that bag and then post up with the thing. Some people, their parents are paying their rent or their mortgage or whatever the case may be, or their husband or their boo thing is financing everything, and it just looks lavish. So why am I trying to keep up with the Joneses when, well, technically I am a Jones because my grandma's name was Jones. But anyway, that's a different story for a different day. Why am I trying to keep up with the Joneses and I can't afford it? And I had to learn it's okay to just, no is a complete sentence. No, I don't have the labels and everything, but I look good in this Forever 21 outfit that I had. I stayed in Forever 21 when I was Forever 21, okay? I look good with whatever I could afford. Like you don't have to have the Mary J. Blige boots, the Giuseppe boots. You don't have to have, you know, everything be like so expensive if that's not what you could afford. You can look good in what you have. You
Yeah.
don't have to go on trips every year if you could afford every 3 years. As long as you know it's paid off and you could afford it, then do what you could afford. Like you don't have to do all these things just to keep up with everybody else. And that was something that was tough because I was watching as a young person, seeing people with off-white this and Coach this, and I said Coach, but Michael Kors this, whatever the brand, whatever was that it at that time. North Face. When I was a kid, I wanted a North Face booty bag so bad. My mom would never
Booty
give it to me.
bag.
Yeah, like the waist bags. We used to call it booty bags when we were in middle
Oh,
school.
like a fanny pack?
Yes, and
Got it.
then
Okay.
I wanted name brand earrings and necklace. When I got older, I was like, oh, that's why my mom made buy me that necklace. It's expensive. I have one now, but I understand, you know. So that's the material part of just knowing what my tax bracket is and staying within that. Because some people too, their credits aren't great or their finances aren't great. They're struggling day to day, trying to go on dates to get some food. People really do that. Go on dates to get food out of people because they're not living in their means, within their means.
Yes, living within your means. Absolutely.
That's a boundary. Stay within it.
Right. Don't cross the line outside of your means.
Right. Whew. All right, I'm done with that one. And the next one is time.
The last one, next and last one is time. It makes me think about how I always wanted to say yes and didn't know how to say no. Just give it my time. Give it my time.
All you gotta do is
can you
say yes.
come into the event? Can you come to this event? Yes. Can you help me out with this? Yes. Just always I wanted people to believe that I was reliable, that they could count on me, but not being realistic with myself and giving myself time to relax. I was burning myself out for no reason. Just always wanting to like be there. At one point it was because of FOMO. Felt like I was gonna miss out on something if I didn't attend or didn't help, or having people have some type of afraid that people were gonna feel some type of way about me if I did not help. But realistically, once I did start saying no and being realistic about the fact that I'm actually not available, and not having to explain why I'm not available, I just can't do it. So time for me was making sure that I was giving myself time that I needed in order for me to recoup and be the person that people actually needed when I could actually help them. Because hey, you know, if my glass ain't full, I can't pour into nobody else's. So it's just a matter of like giving myself the time to recoup and actually be realistic about my own expectations of what I can and cannot do. Because I couldn't be on everybody's set. I couldn't help everybody right. I can't be on everybody, go to everybody's party or events, like things like that. Like even with all of these, like no is a full sentence. Like you could just say no.
Yeah.
You know, and let that be what it is. But especially with time, I had to get used to being comfortable with saying no, I can't. No, I'm not available. No, I can't now, but I can then if this will work. So yeah, that's time for me.
Thank you for sharing that one. Mine, for time, it goes back to the younger me again, but more so on me. People used to give me fake times, fake start times for the kickback or for when we're going to do something, whatever, because they knew that Yaya was the late person. So there was one time that I said, "Oh, what time is it going to start?" At 6:45, and then the person slipped and was like, "No, 7:30." I mean, my bad. Yeah, 6:45. 6:45 for you. And then I caught on that they were giving me a fake time because I wasn't respecting people's time, and it became an embarrassment for me. Like I didn't like that. Like they had to give me a fake time. I had to be lied to in order to be on time for stuff. So I made it my business because I used to be okay. If an event started at 7, I'm gonna shower at 7. And I think that picked up from college. I was always on time, and then I felt like I was goofy because I'm on
You was the
time.
only one
Everybody else
there.
coming late. Yeah, like I'm too early, so I like learned that behavior. So everything like we started off, these things are learned behaviors from childhood. So it came into my adulthood, and I was like, yeah, this is not a good look for me. So I had to set the boundary and learn to be on time so people could stop lying to me. It's just not a comfortable feeling at
It's
all.
not. But hey, she be on time now, yeah.
Oh, I asked, is it secret time or what? What time we getting there? Cause okay, let me know when you getting dressed. I'll start getting dressed too. What time is the reservation for real?
Right. Hey, especially when it comes to reservation nowadays, they will not let you sit until everybody is there. So
Yeah.
you need to be before the time, okay? Being early is on time. If you're on time, you're late, okay?
Right. Okay, so let's talk about how you go about setting healthy boundaries and why it's important to set them. All right, so relationship boundaries outline the primary foundation for how you want others to treat you. They ensure a sense of mutual respect and limit the likelihood of people manipulating or taking advantage of you, which I feel like we talked about that pretty much.
Yeah.
Boundaries also honor your own need for self-care, and personal integrity.
And we love
Okay.
self-care over here.
Yeah. But so I feel like we did talk about manipulation, being taken advantage of, and some self-pride, some integrity. But I love the fact of self-care. I didn't think about that. But it is a form of self-care,
Hmm.
knowing that I set this boundary, knowing that people know this, knowing that I feel proud of myself. You don't have to stress over it.
Right.
Dang, I should have scheduled a massage. I forgot I want to schedule a massage this weekend. Talk about self-care. All right, so how do we go about this? We have 5 things that we're going to talk about. So you want to do the first one?
Sure. The first one is goal setting. Ask yourself questions like, what is the goal in setting a boundary or needing to set a boundary? Right. So we talked about feeling uncomfortable, knowing when a boundary is crossed. Now we need to ask ourselves the question of, how am I going to set this boundary? Why do I need to set this boundary?
Mm-hmm.
Is it necessary for me to set this boundary? So I think in regards to setting a goal, and how you want to set that boundary, shoot, even setting a goal and having the conversation, shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's
Right,
not something
right.
we may be doing right away. You might have to take your time in jumping into that conversation to set that goal for the boundary. I like
And
that.
speaking of goals, a lot of times when we have New Year's resolutions, people say you want to start small. Like you don't want to say, I want to lose 100 pounds. You'll say, okay, I'm going to eat better. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to speak to my doctor, get a nutritionist. Like you have these other small goals before you get to the bigger goal. It's the same
Hmm.
thing here. So with that, you want to start small. Setting boundaries can be hard and uncomfortable. The key is to start small and focus on one at a time. Because
Yes.
I think if you have too many boundaries that you want to put in place, um, it may feel overwhelming and then it may distract you and just keep you from setting that goal in the first place. Especially like when Moni said, you might be nervous to do it. So if you are nervous, then it's harder. It may be harder and smarter to start small.
Yes, absolutely. And you also want to make sure that you are being clear. All right. We don't want an open or a rigid boundary. We need it to be clear. We need it to be concise. And we want to make sure that you are focusing on what you want as clearly as possible. So, once again, starting small, setting that goal, maybe you need to take your time before bringing it up to really figure out, how are you going to make this boundary clear, to make sure that the other person understands it, even if they still want to grab your booty in public and they're not supposed to.
Oh my
But make
gosh.
sure you make the boundary as clear as possible. I'm just saying, because I set the boundary and it was not respected. I made it clear.
He thought it looked like a bubble.
Shoot. All up in my personal space.
Oh my God. So some people believe that perfectionism doesn't exist, but if there wasn't a such thing as perfect, then why does the word exist in the dictionary, right? So practice makes perfect. The more you practice with setting these boundaries, the better you'll get at it. If thinking and setting a boundary makes you nervous, write out what you want to say beforehand
Mm-mm.
and practice stating a boundary in the mirror. That sounds so like me.
I was about
Like
to say,
I'm
who that sound like? Who that
It
sound
sounds like
like?
you too. It sounds like you too.
I
It sounds
do.
like several people that I know, but into I'm a writer, I'm a poet, and that's my way of expression. I feel like I write better than I can speak. That's my best way of self-expression. And I do get so nervous, oh my God, to the point that I gotta go poop in the bathroom. Like I get stage fright, I get talking to other people nervous sometimes, depending on what the nature of the conversation is. Sometimes I get in my own head. So writing things down, talking about whatever it is to myself, talking with a friend about it, before I talk with that actual person about what that for the nature of this conversation, that boundary is. Does this make sense? Am I being clear and precise on what I'm saying? Okay, you think I am? I hope they think so too. And then I go into that conversation with the person.
Yes, absolutely. I most definitely have had to practice a few different times, because I'm the same. Sometimes the way I'm thinking about it in my head, it might be a little too complicated, and I just
Hmm.
need to make sure that I'm laying it out to make it as clear as possible. But then also, I mean, it kind of just segues into the last one, which is keeping it simple. So making sure I'm not saying too much, Because it says less is more with boundary setting. Try not to overload someone with too many details at first. Just pick the main thing that is bothering you and focus on that. So
Yes.
I've definitely had to figure out how I wanted to say something. So aside from even being clear, just to make sure I'm not giving too many words for somebody to process, because everybody processes information differently, whether you write it down, send it in a text, or you're saying it to them verbally. Less
Mm-hmm.
words, the better. Keeping it simple. I've definitely had to figure out how I want to say something, because I can get a little wordy sometimes, especially when you're emotional and you're really trying to get something out. I think writing it down, getting it all out, coming back to it, and then taking out, the pieces that may be a little too much, how we can make it clear and concise as possible can definitely help too.
I agree. And I think that's a perfect way to make sure that you're placing healthy boundaries or
Mm,
setting those healthy boundaries and putting them into practice and putting them into place. So shout out to the people who put this together. Well, we put the podcast together, but
right.
shout out to Very Well Health, and also choosing therapy for the resource tools that we use. This was really, really good, as Tabitha will say.
Yes, absolutely. So, one last time before we close out, to set boundaries, make sure you are goal setting, you are starting small, be clear, practice it, and keep it simple. We all
Mhm.
have boundaries that we do not want to be crossed, and we want to make sure that we are expressing those in, in a respectful manner, but also, we don't want to. I'm always missing a word. I feel like my brain when I'm trying to express myself. This is why we write things down. This is why we
Yeah.
write things down before we talk about it, but sometimes in the moment we forget. So
I do want to add, I know we say no means no, because I'm thinking a few things in my head. No means no. And we always talk about children are inquisitive beings. They like to ask questions. I forewarned you before Nala and Noah came over. They're gonna say why. They're gonna keep asking you why, until they don't have to ask the question anymore. Um, some people are like that too. Like I remember this person, felt like we were very close with each other and wanted to see my hair. Like, oh, you wear your wigs and your weaves a lot. Like, if we're close, I should be able to see your hair. And I'm like, no, that's okay. I don't feel comfortable with that. Even Monie doesn't see it, or the only person that saw it was my ex boyfriend or whatever the case may be. But I was comfortable because my hair was cut low. And
yeah,
this person just kept pressing, like, because for them, they felt like they weren't that close to me because in their world, a perfect friendship or perfect whatever meant that I get to see all of you, whether you're in your comfort zone and when you're just kicking it, like with your hair messy. Until I said, I have alopecia. And I assumed that this person knows it. It's on my social media. It's on, I put it out there to the
yeah,
world, so I assumed that this person know. And they said, oh, I didn't know that. I wouldn't have, pressed so much if it wasn't for that. Now, you don't have to say, um oh, I'm scared, like when it comes to sex, like with other things or whatever, but like I'm not ready um until this, like just saying no to the person, no, but they might still inquire if they're into you or whatever, like,
yeah,
oh, I really want to have sex with this person. But if you say I'm waiting until marriage, or I'm waiting until I feel comfortable, and define what that comfortability is, not saying like when you take me on 10 dates and do this and that
yeah,
and then I'm gonna say yes, but when I feel comfortable, when I feel safe, when I feel whatever that case may be, then we can talk about it at that time, or maybe I'll feel more open, but right now I don't.
right.
So then that's you setting a clear boundary of what it is, opposed to just saying no. After that, they keep pressing, then yes, no is a straightforward answer. I'm not going to be a broken record and keep repeating, I have alopecia, I don't feel comfortable, I feel sad, I feel whatever the case may be, I feel embarrassed. I'm not going to keep doing that, but I know I had the conversation with you before. Now no means no, but prior
Yeah,
to, find a way to verbally express to the person why you're setting that boundary, so then they won't keep pushing anymore and inquiring.
absolutely. Yes. Y'all listening? Y'all heard that? All
Yeah,
right.
the people in the
We
back,
setting
front,
healthy
and middle heard
boundaries
it.
around here. We setting healthy boundaries out her.
Yes. And as Moni shared earlier, we don't have a dorm story. This was really a great conversation. So shout out
Yeah.
to you for thinking about this topic. I really enjoyed this one, and I hope that the listeners enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed it too. I mean, there was no need for a dorm story. We shared our personal experience all up in it. So it was like a hot topic dorm story
Yes.
infusion, all right? Embedded, right on entangled in between with one another, all right?
Yes.
It was hot topic / dorm stories.
Just like that.
Just like it. And now, what we're going to do is, since we're wrapping it up, we're going to head on over into the announcement segment.
Let's do it.
It's time for announcements. It's time for announcements. It's time for announcements. It's time for announcements. I don't think you're on beat, to be honest, but it's cute or whatever.
Maybe when the app does what it does, I'm sure I will be on beat.
The AI gonna do its thing and make it seem like you're doing what you're supposed to do. Woo! Episode 8, officially halfway done with the season. We have 8 more to go, y'all. 8 more episodes to go. Can you believe that?
Can you believe it?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I can't believe it every season, but hey, here we are.
Yep. Staying consistent, keeping steady. We are in June. Speaking of time flying by. Wow.
I can't wait for
shout out to my mom.
Officially summer.
Shout out to my mom. Your birthday just passed. Happy birthday. I love you so much.
Happy birthday to you.
Yes, happy birthday, mommy. I love you so much. And Monie loves you too. Everybody loves you, mom. And also, speaking of parents, shout out to the fathers out there. Happy Father's Day to my dad, to Monie's dad, to my brother, to all the men that I see out there being great models of what fathers are, not just posting on Facebook, not just going to see the baby real quick to take some flicks in different outfits so you make it look like different days and post it up on social media. But no, you are actually being a father. So shout out to all the fathers out there. We love you. We care about you. And keep doing the thing.
Yes, absolutely. And the next holiday after Father's Day is Juneteenth, June 19th, y'all. Celebrating, having a wonderful time. You know what? I love Juneteenth because of the energy that I always see.
Energy.
Just in regards to culture and the melanin and the love. Like, there's never been a time on Juneteenth where I've just been like, the energy's not given. The energy's just not given. And I love that it's actually recognized as an official holiday now. Like, you get that time off to actually celebrate. Yes, a national holiday, as it should have been. But hey, we're not going to live in the past. We're going to live in the present. So what are y'all doing for Juneteenth? Let us know. Per usual, the events that y'all are having, go ahead and let us know. I am still a side chick, so if you need the beans, them I will bring, okay? I'm just saying. Cookouts galore, events galore, celebration galore. Invite us, or shoot, invite me. I don't know. Yaya, you want to come too?
The food gonna be good. Shoot, good food, good vibes. Yes, and if it's not too far. If it's not too far.
That part.
Yeah, I'm excited for Juneteenth. I don't think I'm going to the Juneteenth event because when I was younger, big crowds used to make me feel super, super excited. Like, oh, it's lit. It's big, like I equated big crowd lit, but now I don't. And I think like when we went, it was so much fun, perfect or whatever. But knowing that the people that came late, like hopping the gate and all the stuff that came with it, that's doing too much. And just the video of like all the people that could be there, it's overwhelming for me. So I think on to the next type of celebration of Juneteenth. I will be at the doctor that morning. I made a doctor's appointment because I don't want to have to keep calling out sick for doctor's appointments. But I do want to find something fun to do later on. So, yeah, Juneteenth. And then the next day is the first official day of summer. So, make sure. Oh my God.
Sorry, I'm really excited. I've been waiting for summer. Taking too long, baby boo. You better be here on time. Come pick
I'm
me
not
up.
rushing.
Come pick me up.
Make sure you have your Black Girl sunscreen. Make sure you stay, keep safe. cancer is a real thing. Just because you're Black don't mean that you can't get skin cancer. So make sure that you're protecting your skin. Make sure that you're getting enough rest,
Mm.
drinking water, putting your electrolytes in your water or eating it, whatever, however you get your electrolytes, get it and keep it. Make sure you stay safe during this summer.
Yes, absolutely. And if you are not already ready, see, really, I'm thinking relish, I'm thinking hot dogs. I'm trying to be outside. I need something on the grill. If you are not already, make sure you are following us on social media, all platforms, and you are subscribing to the Truth Carpet Podcast. We on YouTube, we on Apple Podcasts, we on Spotify, we on Google Podcasts. Make sure you subscribe and then, send it to a friend because, you think we so dope that your friend would think we dope too. And then that friend gonna send it to another friend who gonna send it to another friend, their grandma and their aunties. So we need to make sure that we are subscribing and sharing because sharing is caring. And y'all know we are on the IG, LoveLoudd LLC. Follow. Period.
I do want to ask, and I'm talking to myself too, because I am an Apple Podcast girl. I love to listen to podcasts on Apple Podcasts. But if you don't mind listening, guys, on Spotify, I would love for the next episode, because obviously you already listened to us, whatever platform you chose, but the next episode, if you can listen to us on Spotify, because we can't see our numbers for Apple Podcasts. We can see them for Spotify. And I just want to know how our numbers look if the majority of our listeners listen and watch on Spotify. I just want to see that because our search numbers are high. But I know I'm guilty. I listen on Apple Podcasts. So yeah, if the next episode, if you guys can listen on Spotify, I just want to see what those numbers are as far as the people who listen to our podcast, because we get so much feedback for the numbers that that I see. Like, I'm hearing so much feedback, but I'm seeing the numbers and I'm like, it's not matching. And I know a lot of people, because I see y'all blue bubbles when y'all texting me, and I know that a lot of people are into Apple. So yeah, that's not a part of the announcements, but because she said that, I wanted to add that tidbit. But we are in June and we have a prompt of the month, which is to put your playlist on shuffle. Any playlist, whatever playlist you have, gospel, rap, R&B, Cowboy Carter, whatever it is that you're listening to. And then you don't have to listen to every song. You can skip and get to that third song. Whatever third song plays, write something that inspires you. Whether it's a poem, whether it's a letter, whether it's stick figures, I don't know. Write something that song
That's the
inspires you
biggest.
about. Write it down. Write it down on that paper. And that's our prompt of the month for June. Sheesh.
Yeah, I actually like this prompt. I've actually done it before. And not necessarily stopping on the third song, but just like whatever, like putting my playlist on shuffle and the first song to play is what I would try to write something about, keep it on repeat for a little bit. It's definitely fun to try. It's definitely a fun activity, whether you do it based off the words that you hear or like your own rendition of what you hear, creating a story. I've definitely done it for like character development, for screenwriting. So it's a really, really, really dope and fun way. Also, real quick, for any of my screenwriters out there, you could also do it in a way where the first three that you hear, you can base your characters off those first three songs. I'm just
Oh,
saying.
cool.
It's a really fun, dope idea. Or my novelist too. Create your characters that way too. It's a really fun concept. Especially if you mix all genres, you'll come up with some really really dope
Creative
concepts.
stuff. Okay. And then speaking of creativity, Moni and I curate this podcast. We come up with our topics. We produce everything. Moni puts together the content that you see on social media for our podcast, as well as make sure that it is uploaded on time. So we're putting all this stuff together on our own. We're finding our guests on our own. We're finding the poets on our own, or saying yes to them on our own. It's literally Love and Loud running this show. And then when Moni's sister Akila was helping us, she was allowed to. So yes, it's still literally Love and Loud running this show. So please, kindly, from the bottom of our hearts, we ask you if you can leave us a review. If you're listening to us on Spotify now or next time, leave a review on Spotify, leave a review on our Instagram. We also have a website, www.loveloud.com. You can give us feedback. That way you can send us an email. We would love to have your feedback. If you don't like something, let us know. Do we talk too long in the opening or the closing or what? Did we offend
Yeah.
anybody? Like, let us know if the podcast is too long, too
Keep
short.
it
You want more
real.
episodes. Keep it real. But in order to get more episodes from us, you gotta share the content. Make sure that you forward some episodes to friends who you think might need to set some boundaries in their lives, or
Hmm.
might need to hear from Shanae about entrepreneurship, or some episodes about some seasons ago we talked about money, we talked about travel, we talked about mental health, we talked about so many things that your friends, your family members may benefit from. Share our podcast, and maybe that'll get in somebody's ears and hands, and they can help us to be funded, and then we can afford to have more episodes to put on, out into the streaming world. So yeah, thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you share our content with other people so we can have more
Yes,
listeners.
absolutely. And if you want to get this bucket hat, we got a shop on the website too. Don't
We do.
we still got a shop that you can go shop in and buy some things if you want to support that way too. Books, shirts, mugs.
This
We got a
accent.
lot of things. I'm just saying, go ahead to the website and buy a little something. So
Oh my
shoot,
God.
buy something for your father for Father's Day. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yes, that part. That part. But
Alrighty.
yeah,
Well, we're closing out. We're saying au revoir. Until
we
next
are
time.
saying no. We are saying congratulations.
Congratulations. Yes.
Congratulations for getting through another podcast episode with your best friend duo. I am Yaskis.
And I am Monie, and we will see
And
you all in 2 weeks.
stay black.
Stay proud. Congratulations.
Yes. Congratulations. Work so hard, forget to vacation.
It's a celebration.
It's a celebration. And I got my melanin.
Yep, time to go.